Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has Hashirama Sage mode. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by HOMIE 218 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Everything was the same. His seat in the corner, him feeling sleepy, loud brats making unnecessary noise and Iruka trying to control the class. But he was feeling sleepy. So he would sleep. He could feel it, the soft hands of sleep caressing his cheeks like no one else ever did. But then again, he could not sleep. His tenant had a habit of making his life as miserable as it could, even in sleep. So Naruto made it a habit to not to sleep. Unhealthy. Yes. But necessary nonetheless. Naruto, can you please tell us about the Shodai Hokage and his special abilities? What did he want now? Did he not know that he was trying to sleep? Did he not know that he knew the answers? Was he even trying to sleep? Did he want to sleep? He did not know. The Shodai Hokage was Hashirama Senju. He was known as the god of shinobi due to his immense powers. He commanded the woods through his wood-release Kekkei Genkai and he trailed off, realizing that this was all he knew, but he had already said, and so he had to speak something now. And he had brown hair, he finished off lamely. A sigh escaped Iruka's lips. He knew that Naruto knew the answers. Naruto was an ideal student. Well, as ideal as a shinobi in training could be. He was top of the class, never missed the academy, never talked back and learned everything quickly. But Iruka hadn't taught him anything. His basics should not have been this solid. Yes, he regretted it, but that did not take away the mystery that Naruto was. Correct, Naruto. Please be a bit more involved in class. He really tried to be friendly with him, but whenever he saw his face, all he could think of was the rampage that the Kyuubi had caused. Naruto did not reply. He wanted to sleep, or at least he thought he wanted to sleep. He wasn't sure. As soon as he left the academy, there was a bird waiting for him. He understood them. Sometimes, it was an eagle, sometimes a sparrow and sometimes an owl. He loved owls, they did not sleep at night, just like him. Given, they did sleep during the morning, but he did not care about the technicalities. Regardless, the point was that he could talk to them. He understood. They obeyed him. They loved him. Did his mother love him? Did he have a mother? The Kyuubi had called him a monster and so did the villagers, so maybe he had no mother. But he was going off topic again. He did not like this about himself, but he was hungry, so searching for a good food stall was in order. Searching for a good food stall was not hard. Searching for a good food stall that would serve him was a different matter though. He did not like being sneered at while he was eating, so he had to look for some decent stall now. He could not wait to learn the transformation jutsu. Gucci was a good man, he helped orphans, was very friendly, and always looked out for his daughter. He had a soft spot for orphans, he encouraged his daughter AM to befriend as many as she could, but not him. After all, he was the reason why AM did not have a mother. But Tucci was a good man, he would serve Naruto like he would serve anyone else, given his daughter was not around. He had made it very clear. Naruto should not approach if he saw his daughter around. He did not want her to be associated with him. Luckily for Naruto, AM was off to the academy. So, he could have some ramen and collect some toppings for the birds. The food was awesome, like always. But now, it was time for some training. He did not like to train, but if he did not train from time to time his body would get lazy and would want to sleep more, or that's what the birds told him. His birds had a lot of knowledge, his birds could spy. They told him what to do. They knew of some jutsus, but since Naruto did not know how to make hand signs, that would have to be done later. He started off by running up and down a tree, followed by general shinobi workout, and finished with meditating for a few hours. Meditating calmed him. He did not know why the birds had told him to meditate to begin with, but he was glad that he had accepted their suggestion. It was the only time he felt at peace, well, not truly, since the masked guys were always watching him, but they had been with him for such a long time that he had accepted them as permanent. Once the training was over, he fed the birds the food he had collected and took off towards his house. Chapter 2. He was different. He knew that very well. The villagers had not left one opportunity to make him feel unwanted. But his looks demanded attention. With blood-red, shoulder-length hair, golden iris and purple markings below his eyes, he stood out like a sore thumb. But he was proud of himself, he was proud of not shedding a tear in front of anyone, he was proud of his independence, and if anyone believed he should think otherwise, they could lick his foot. But, being proud would not fill his stomach, he had to swallow his pride and use the transformation jutsu to eat anywhere other than a few selected stalls, and he did not mind that. After all, survival is your priority was a shinobi 101. The day he had mastered the transformation jutsu. It did not take him much time to do that. It was the first jutsu taught in the second year of the academy, and Naruto could perform it easily enough. As simple as the jutsu was, it was a major boon for Naruto. Now, he could walk without being noticed, he could experience a normal life or, at least, a mockery of his ideal life. Must you bring me here unannounced? For a few moments there was pin-drop silence. Then, a deep voice, almost growling in a mocking manner spoke. Ironic, is it not? You do not even have the freedom to enter your own mind without my consent. What do you want? He questioned the voice. Freedom is what I want, but this world is hardly fair. I believe even you would agree with me on this. As this voice echoed in the dark chambers of his mind, a large eye, whose slit pupil was alone as tall as Naruto himself was, opened. Naruto was not afraid. This has happened before. He had played this game before, but it was not going to happen again today. If the world was how you wish it to be, it would be dust and debris, would it not? He countered. Hardly. The voice scoffed. We Biju were perfectly content in living our lives in peace, it were the humans who hunted down the Biju for their own benefits. The gigantic creature replied. Regardless, I am as much a victim here as you are, why must you seek to make my life harder? Entertainment, why else? What else am I supposed to do here? He questioned him mockingly. As I said, I have work to do, let me go from here. He demanded. I thought you would understand my misery as a fellow slave, Naruto. The voice was full of mockery. I am hardly a slave. What else are you, tell me? Naruto did not reply. He had not cried in front of anyone, and he did not want to cry in front of the Kyuubi. It had been 3 years since he had joined the academy. He was undefeated. Nothing to be proud of, their hits just did not hurt him, and he knew a lot more than others. His birds told him about everything. He was easily able to master the Academy 3, he knew the questions of the test before the test was given, and he knew how to use his chakra to enhance himself. He wanted to graduate early, but he could not. After the tragedy, now termed as the Itachi Uchiha fiasco, early graduation was not permitted anymore. Anyways, the graduation was on the verge of happening, and he could not have been happier. Ah well, he was not happy right now. It was the graduation day and he had been in the class since the morning. Since the roll numbers were based on the first alphabets of the clan name, he had a long queue ahead of him. The day was the first time that the whole class was quiet without any supervision. Everyone was anxious. Naruto lazily glanced over everyone. He did not know the name of a single child. He had pummeled almost all of them in the ground at least once, yet he knew not one of them by their name, and he did not really care. Before he could continue with his thoughts, a voice came from the door. Uzumaki Naruto. He stood up. It was the first time he was walking down the stairs of the academy while there were people behind him. He was always the last one to leave without any exceptions. Well, today was an exception, but it was a mandatory sacrifice. His red hair had maintained their length. His golden eyes were still unnerving. The purple shadows below his eyes were still there, except for the unique natural eye shadow, his face was flawless. Not a single scratch or mark. To complement his shadows, he wore a high-collared, light-colored kimono held closed by a purple slash, and the kimono had red accents to complement his hair. He looked like a proper noble looking down on peasants. Leaving the room with a red hairband, there was nothing that could make his day any better. He was now officially an adult. He could now have his own house, not sponsored by the village, in which he could allow as many birds as he liked. Seeing him so cheerful, all the birds in the surrounding area started chirping, and this, in turn, made him even happier. Chapter 3. Are you sure? And blood too. Like, 100% sure. Alright, I will do it, no need to poke me. Contrary to what the Anbu guarding him were thinking, Naruto was not talking to himself. He was, in fact, talking to the owl resting comfortably on his shoulder. Following the owl's instructions, Naruto made the hand signs he was told to. Or, dog, bird, monkey, ram. Following this, he bit his thumb, rubbed some blood on his hand and slammed his hand down on the ground and promptly disappeared in a poof of smoke. Hey. Where am I? It was a forest. He thought it was a forest, at least. None of the forests near Konoha were like this though. It was way too bright, the trees were way too tall, and there were only 1 or 2 comically large leaves atop every tree. Also, he could not sense any humans. Yeah, no humans. Shit. Tell me, young sage, what are you doing here? Hearing the voice, Naruto turned around and it was an owl. It was talking. Yes, Naruto could understand the birds, but this one was really talking. Like, really talking. How are you speaking? The same way you do, although our biology differs. But, I am sure you would not be very much interested in that. So tell me, why did you come here? The owl asked him. Dunno. He said, that owl told me to do those hand signs and I ended up here. So, you can actually talk to the owls. Sure can, who are you anyways? He asked. A born sage, truly. The owl said, ignoring his question. Follow me. The owl said and began moving forwards. Not knowing what he had gotten himself into, he followed the flying owl silently. As he moved forward, he could see a lot more owls, some lazing around, some making food, some playing and some training, apparently. The owl which he was following landed down on a chair-like structure carved out of a tree and asked Naruto to take a seat too. Not wanting any unnecessary drama, Naruto obeyed. "So, can you tell me where exactly I am?" "This is Mount Basin. The land of the owl summons." The owl told him. So, that actually was the summoning jutsu. Naruto was not sure before, but he had his doubts. "So, how can I go back?" he continued. "We will send you back, but you would not mind indulging me in a conversation, would you?" the owl asked him. "A conversation? Why not?" He prompted the owl to ask away what he wanted. "My name is Fukaru, young sage. What might your name be?" "I am Uzumaki Naruto," he told the now named Fukaru. "Tell me, young Naruto, since when are you channeling Senjutsu?" "Senjutsu? What is that?" Naruto asked, a bit too curious to learn something new. Senjutsu, or the art of channeling nature chakra, is exactly what its name defines. It means perfectly balancing your own chakra with the energy of nature to enter a transformation known as the Sage Mode. Fukaru explained. "I don't know what you mean, I have never even heard of nature chakra before." Naruto replied, a bit curious. "You say that, but these eyes of yours are a sign of your sage transformation. Your body has been balancing nature chakra on its own since your birth, it seems." He looked at Naruto with a more intense gaze and continued, "Although, it seems like this is not the perfect sage transformation." He concluded. "You will need to explain more thoroughly," Naruto said, wanting to learn more about his apparent ability. Sage mode, as I explained, is a state of being which is established when the user balances his chakra perfectly with the nature chakra present in, as the name suggests, nature. It is a very difficult skill to achieve, and there have been very few true sages in centuries. So few, in fact, that you could count them with your fingers and still have 8 fingers to spare. He said and took a deep breath to continue speaking, "But, it seems that your body, for some reason, is pre-exposed to nature chakra and has learned to balance it passively. That would result in a much stronger body and much more potent chakra for you. But, because you are not channeling the chakra actively, you are not using the sage mode to its full potential," he concluded. "And what do my eyes have to do with this?" Naruto asked. "Sage mode often results in some sort of physical change. For you, it seems, it is your unnatural eye color and the purple shadows of your eyes," he said. "I see, so do you know how I could perfect this power?" he asked. "The owls have never produced a sage, but the holy land of owls has plenty of nature chakra for you to practice. If you become our summoner, I believe, it would be easier for you to master your powers," he said. Naruto stood up and bowed till his waist. "Please, accept me as your summoner," he requested. "Stand tall, young Naruto. Be sharp, use your wisdom, and we of the Owl Clan shall never leave your side. Draw your blood and sprinkle it on the holy land of Mount Basin, and we shall accept you as our summoner." At this point, there were hundreds of owls surrounding them. Not falling into the pressure, Naruto bit his thumb and sprayed what little blood came out directly on the land. For a brief second his name was visible on the ground. And then, Journey of a Young Sage had begun. The Hokage was tensed. It was no more than 5 minutes ago that the guard detail of the village Jinchuriki had reported the Jinchuriki missing. The village gates were closed, but no distress signal was passed. Causing havoc in the village would do him no favors. Apparently, the boy had attempted to use the summoning jutsu. Who taught him the hand signs was anyone's guess. The Anbu were interrogated but till now, nothing was known. Hiruzen, himself, was guilty of neglecting the boy. He had promised his mother that he would take care of him, but he could not. He had not even approached him till now. He had certainly tried. Tried and failed miserably, but tried nonetheless. Whenever he saw the boy, he was reminded of the cold body of his wife, Bawako. He tried to console himself, thinking that he had a lot on his plate already, but the dam of guilt broke whenever he saw his own grandson, Konohamaru, bathe in riches. He could have certainly done much more, but he too was a human and humans resented, humans mourned and humans did not forgive. He knew he was a hypocrite. He could not bring himself to forgive Naruto, but he expected the boy to forgive the village, to forgive him, and to forgive everyone who ever caused him harm and still protect the village with everything he had. But now was not the time to regret, he had a Jinchuriki to find. Kakashi wanted to sleep. Or read his smut. Or maybe, read his smut and then sleep. But he could not do any of that. Why? Because all the summoners in Konoha were called for a meeting. They had to make sure that a brat was not on their summons plane. But he just wanted to read and sleep. Why was all this important anyways? The Jinchuriki. Ah, so the Jinchuriki had attempted the summoning jutsu. Now it made sense. He was only listening to bits and pieces of the Hokage's speech and building sentences based on them. After all, Jiraiya-sama had worked really hard on this particular book. The search had borne no fruits. Regardless, the boy was found. He had reverse summoned himself and, judging from the tattoo on his hand, he was now a summoner. Hiruzen exhaled a sigh of relief. If the Jinchuriki was reported as missing officially, his leadership would have been questioned, and that old goat Danzo would have left no table unturned to get him off of the seat of the Hokage. Well, all was good now. He could let Naruto go with a slap on the wrist this time, he supposed. He could rest for a bit then, after that he had to attend to the accursed paper too. How he wished Tsunade were here to take his hat away from him. She would have been the perfect Hokage, but things were not perfect. He had this burden and he would do his best to serve the village. Naruto was bored. Whenever he was here, he felt bored. He had forgotten how being in this classroom felt. But, hopefully, this would be the last time he would have to be here. He was here for the team distribution. He did not wish to be part of any team, but things were hardly as he wanted them to be. So, he had to suck it up and be a good little genin, at least, till the time he became a Chunin, who could take solo missions. But, coming full circle yet again, Naruto was very bored right now. Why was Iruka not getting this over with already? Should he punch him in the face and force him to announce the teams? Team 1 Iruka spoke, coincidentally right when Naruto was considering standing up. So, Naruto relaxed and waited for his team to be announced. Team 10 will be Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino and Uzumaki Naruto under the Jonin Sarutobi Asuma. He did not know who Nara was. He did not know who Yamanaka was. He did not know who Sarutobi was and, honestly, he did not care. He just wanted to get this over with. Apparently, their sensei's name was Asuma and not Sarutobi, just like his teammates' names were Shikamaru and Ino, and not Nara and Yamanaka. Well, he honestly could not care less. But, what he cared about was the chef that was glaring at him. Yeah, Asuma had called them to gather in a restaurant for their first team meeting, and the owner, apparently, did not like him. True to the stature of Asuma as a jonin, no one confronted him, but their glares irritated him anyways. At least he got the seat near the window, so he always had a bird on his shoulder. Yeah, that comforted him a lot. Ahem. Asuma cleared his throat before he could think any further. So, I am Asuma Sarutobi, who may or may not become your sensei. Well, we will discuss that later. First, I want you all to introduce yourself. Your likes, dislikes, goals and the common stuff. He said. Acknowledging the silence, he continued, I suppose I should go first. He said as he released a puff of smoke from his cigar. As I already told you, my name is Asuma Sarutobi. I like smoking, I dislike traitors, and I have achieved everything I wanted in my life. He said. Patching his look towards her, Ino started. I am Yamanaka Ino. I like flowers, I hate Sakura and want to make my clan proud. She finished with enthusiasm. Following the cue, Shikamaru sighed and started. My name is Nara Shikamaru, I like to sleep, I dislike people who do not let me sleep, and my goal is to retire. Adding a quick troublesome to his sentence, he laid his head on the table in front of him. Realizing he was the last one left and everyone was looking at him expectantly, he started. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like birds. To this the bird on his shoulder chirped happily. I dislike people who bore me, and I wish to have a proper sleep someday. On the declaration of his goal, all 6 eyes shot towards him. What? He asked them. What do you mean you wish to have a proper sleep? The Nara boy asked. Ah, the Kyuubi won't let me sleep. So yeah, I really want to have a comfortable sleep at least once. He said, looking towards them. The Kyuubi? Ino stuttered out, visibly scared. He looked towards Asuma. They do not know? He questioned. Asuma just groaned and sighed, he was not prepared for this on his first day as a sensei. No Naruto. None of the kids your age know of that. Asuma said. But I suppose your teammates must know about this anyways. He finished. Following this, he stood up, got behind the 3 of them, and shunshine to the training ground 10. Looking towards Naruto he said, do you want to tell them yourself? Naruto just shrugged and started. You are aware of the Kyuubi attack, yes? He asked them. Yes. They both answered in chorus. Well, that night, to defeat the Kyuubi, the 4th Hokage sealed the Kyuubi inside of me, and that makes me the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He said. So, you are the Kyuubi? Ino asked, moving away from him. Well, no. Not exactly. He is sealed inside of me. Like, he is still a separate entity. He said. I see, Ino said. Well, that's that for today, I suppose. I do not believe we will be able to do the plant test today. So, we will meet here tomorrow at 6 in the morning. Come prepared for a survival training. With that he disappeared in a flicker. Noticing that Ino and Shikamaru were maintaining their distance from him, he decided to give them their space and left in a flicker too. Well, they supposed they had a few things to think about. Chapter 5. Naruto was not sleepy. But, his teammates were. It was 5:30 in the morning and the pair of them were constantly yawning. No, he was not jealous. He was only annoyed. Why did they have to yawn in front of him anyways? Were they mocking him? Before Naruto could think any further, Asuma appeared in a swirl of leaves. "Good morning, little Genins," he said, far too cheerful for this time in the morning. Shikamaru yawned, Ino's eyes twitched and Naruto stared at him. Ah, he supposed they were not used to training this early then. So? He started. Generally, newly assigned Genins have to take a test to make it certain that they can work as a team, but I do things differently. He said. Differently how? Ino asked, ever so curious. I am putting you on a provisionary period of 1 month. If you perform well as a team, I will officially accept you as my team. He replied. Did you call us here at this hour to tell us this? Shikamaru asked in a surprisingly threatening tone. Of course not. Asuma scoffed. We will be having a survival training right now to see how strong you actually are. Asuma glanced at the clock in his hands, set it down, said start. And promptly disappeared in a poof of smoke. The 3 genin were still standing there, confused. You have 3 hours to land a hit on me. An echo came from the trees behind them. This stirred them into motion, and they ran the other side. Ino was weary of Naruto. Shikamaru and her had talked to their fathers about Naruto. While Shikamaru's father had told him to do what he likes and not follow the crowd, Ino's father was not happy with the team placement. He had warned her explicitly to not use any of their clan jutsu on Naruto. Nonetheless, she would have to judge him for herself before making any decisions. So, what's the plan? Ino asked. Naruto raised his hand in the air and a bird came to sit on it. Asuma is far from here, we have plenty time to plan. He said. How do you know that? Shikamaru questioned. I can talk to the birds. He said. And, with this, an awkward silence was bestowed on them. Ahem. Ino broke the silence awkwardly. I think we should rely on Shikamaru's plan, that is kin to his thing. She said. Naruto shrugged and they looked towards Shikamaru expectantly. Asuma was surrounded by trees, relaxing and smoking without any concerns. He was holding a cigar in his hands and was reaching towards the lighter from his other hand. As soon as he got the hold of the lighter and both his hands got busy, a concentrated gust of wind, with a cry of, wind style. Gale palm. Was thrown towards him. As the dust settled, they could only see a shattered log of wood. Substitution. Shikamaru murmured. One more. He continued, and on his command, Naruto released one more gale palm towards a seemingly unsuspecting Asuma, only to get the same results as before. Seeing the opportunity, Naruto engaged Asuma in a taijutsu battle, while Shikamaru tried to get behind their sensei silently. Shadow possession jutsu. He said, as a thread of shadow moved towards Asuma. Just as the shadow was going to bind him, Asuma jumped and dodged Naruto's punch simultaneously. Accepting their defeat, Shikamaru and Naruto retreated. Or so Asuma thought. Just when he turned back, 2 shuriken came towards him. Seeing Ino from the corner of his eyes, he dodged them and tried to flip backwards. Only to realize that he was stuck. Looking down, he saw a strand of shadow connecting him and Shikamaru, with the shadow of the now embedded shuriken, working as an enhancer for the shadow. Shadow possession jutsu. Success. Shikamaru said, almost smugly. Just as he tried to overpower the bind, a jaw-shattering punch connected with his face, and he was promptly knocked out. Asuma woke up with a groan. That boy's punch were hard. Looking around, he realized he was still in the same training ground. Sitting up straight and looking around, he saw the 3 genin enjoying their food. When their eyes met, a quick, we won. Came from all of them. I suppose you did. Asuma said, a bit grumpily. Chapter 6, Professor Fluff. Yeah, I know. But, this is my first story, so I am trying to take suggestions from the reviews without making any major decisions. But, since there are no reviews, I suppose I will try to write more. Also, as a student, I am more used to writing 800 to 900 words essays. Thanks for the review, really appreciate it. It had been 3 weeks since he had become the sensei of Team 10. The 3 of them were coming along nicely. Since, somehow, the 3 of them already knew of the tree walking exercise, he had taught them the water walking exercise. He thought that Naruto would have some problems controlling his chakra as the sheer amount of it was crazy, but no. The boy had somehow managed to control his chakra very precisely. So, all in all, he should have been feeling proud, right? No. He was feeling shocked. Why, you ask? Because it had been 3 whole weeks of D-rank missions and none of them had complained. Not even once. Shikamaru was happy with what he was doing, Naruto was happy that he was earning, so he could save up money for a new house, and Ino had, surprisingly, taken to follow the lead of Shikamaru and Naruto. So, now they were standing in front of the Hokage, and, he was trying to convince his cute genin how new genin should argue with their jonin sensei to get some cool missions. Well, they did not budge. But enough was enough. He was done with D ranks, so they were going to take a C rank, whether his students liked it or not. Yes, Hokage-sama. My team and I wish for a C rank mission. Asuma said, trying to hide his indignity. Your team, you say? The Hokage said, looking towards the genin. The genin promptly shook their heads, and just as Ino tried to voice their decision, Asuma glared at her. And the glare was enough to shut the three of them. "Yes, my team and I, Hokage-sama," Asuma said. "Well then, a C rank is in order, I suppose," he said, looking towards the pile of documents in front of him. The Hokage murmured as he tossed a file towards Asuma. "There has been an influx of sudden disappearances in the land of hot water. We believe that there is a group of bandits have set their camps there. You are to find and eliminate them," the Hokage said. "The land of hot water it is, then," Asuma said, accepting the mission. Then, he looked towards the genin and said, "Pack your bags for 2 weeks, we leave tomorrow at 8 in the morning." And dismissed them. Naruto was happy. Moving through the dense forest, he could see several new species of birds, and he loved them all. Right now, he was caressing a sparrow while an owl was sleeping on his shoulder. Yeah, his summon owls could sleep like that. They were pretty cool. He had summoned this one because he was a sensor-type summon. Even though he was sleeping, he would wake up the moment he would feel any new chakra around. All in all, he was enjoying the C-rank mission. "Say, Naruto," Ino said, grabbing his attention. "How do you manage without sleeping?" she questioned. Ino had relaxed around him now. Even though he did not talk a lot, he was not a bad person. Just socially awkward, she supposed. And he probably did not even know that he was socially awkward. "I do not need to manage without sleep," he replied, forming quotes in the air. "Not sleeping is simply easier," he concluded. "You always say that, but you never tell us what that means," she huffed. At this point, both Shikamaru and Asuma were trying to listen while pretending indifference. Naruto sighed and said, "Well, when I sleep, I end up in my mind." Ino blinked and asked, "And, what's wrong with that?" She sounded very curious. "You would not want to spend full nights in front of a massive oppressing chakra, which is full of hatred, would you?" he asked. "And on top of that, I am somewhat of a censor, so if I go there, I am constantly anxious for an upwards of 6 to 8 hours, and that just makes me worse than not sleeping at all," he finished. "Ah, well, I suppose not." She had nothing more to say. The squad fell into a somewhat comfortable silence after this. "Poor bastards." Naruto sighed out. The gang of bandits had tried to attack them for their food and material possessions on their way to the land of hot waters. Coincidentally, they were a gang of 3. So, Asuma thought they would be good first kills for his students. Naruto had killed the bandit easily enough. Shikamaru, too, understood what needed to be done. But, Ino was currently sobbing after her first kill, and Asuma was consoling her. Naruto and Shikamaru were cleaning their kunai in a nearby stream. "So, first kill?" Shikamaru questioned. "Yeah," Naruto said, not really caring. "Ah, yes. A very good morning to you, Shinobi-san." The Lord of Land of Hot Waters was an old goat. He was dressed in pristine royal blue robes, fitting of a noble. Had a mustache, fitting of a noble. And had an annoying verbal tick, again, fitting of a noble. "Good morning to you too. I am Asuma Sarutobi, and this is my team. Uzumaki Naruto, Nara Shikamaru and Yamanaka Ino, in order," Asuma said, introducing everyone. "Ah, yes. A very promising team, it seems. I was not expecting the son of the Hokage himself," he said. "We will do our best if you could tell us where the suspected site is, if the pleasantries are done, of course," Asuma said, trying to get to the point. "Ah, yes. The pleasantries are, indeed, done," the noble said. "The suspected site is a cave towards the land of rice, the south, that is. Blood has been spotted there several times and people have disappeared from there too," he finished. "We will depart then. Thank you for the information," Asuma said. "Ah, yes. You should, indeed, depart, I suppose," he said. The sight was gruesome. There was blood splattered everywhere and Ino could have sworn that she saw an eyeball rolling. There were marks of bodies being dragged everywhere and it seemed like the culprit used a sharp weapon as there were scratch marks on the trees around. "Be on guard and let's move forwards," Asuma said. An eerie silence was set on the squad as they entered the cave. Since nothing was visible, Asuma summoned a ball of fire on his hand and oh boy. How they wished they could have unseen this. There were bodies upon bodies lying around. Some full, some half. Some could hardly be called bodies. At first glance, Naruto could count 8 heads lying around. "And what might you be doing in my den?" a voice questioned. All of them turned around to see the owner of the voice. He had medium-length gray hair that was slicked back and distinctive purple eyes. He wore no shirt, had bandages wrapped around his stomach, wore maroon pants with long black shinobi sandals, each bearing an attached zipper. "We are Konoha shinobi, and from the looks of it, we are here to kill you," Asuma said. "Ah, in that case, my name is Hidan, a servant of Lord Jashin. And you," he said, pointing towards the squad, "shall be my next sacrifices." And with that said, he rushed towards Asuma. "Scatter and take advantage of our numbers," Asuma shouted. The genin scattered. Naruto taking the front, Shikamaru as a support and Ino at the back, waiting for the perfect spot to use her clan's ability. While they formed their formation, Asuma had pulled out his trench knives and was engaging the now-named Hidan in a taijutsu fight. Asuma was clearly the superior fighter, but the guy, Hidan, just would not stay down. Wind style. Gale palm, Naruto exclaimed and sent a concentrated force of wind towards the shirtless guy. Hidan dodged the jutsu and pressed forwards to attack Asuma. Well, at least he tried to. Shadow possession jutsu. Success. And before he could think any further, a trench knife was embedded through his heart. Now assured of their victory, Shikamaru released the jutsu and moved to gather with his team. Well, that's that, I suppose. Asuma said. Good work, UTH. His eyes widened and he leaped towards Naruto. It seemed he was too late. Somehow, the guy was still alive and he was going to stab Naruto in the back with his scythe. Just as the scythe was about to make contact with Naruto's skin. Clank. The sound of metal hitting metal was heard. No, Asuma had not reached there on time. So, what had stopped the scythe? Naruto's eyes were wide, it was the first time he had been so close to dying. But, there was a glowing purple chain growing from his back that had stopped the scythe from hitting him. The chain wrapped around Hidan's hand and threw him across the cave. What is that? Ino questioned, flabbergasted. The hell if I know. Naruto replied, just as surprised. Naruto extended his hand and the chain curled inside his palm, like it wanted to be petted. Naruto obliged the chain and it shivered. Before anything else could happen, Hidan stood up again. Why won't you blasted creatures die already? He exclaimed, frustrated. Ash release. Fire blast. Asuma said as he released a gust of ash towards Hidan and burnt it. The explosion was great, but as the smoke gusted away, Hidan stood there, with only his clothes damaged. Seeing the opportunity, Ino captured him in her mind transfer jutsu. As soon as Naruto realized that Ino had captured him and Asuma was still winded, he blitzed towards the shirtless guy and cut his head off. Still weary of any tricks, he remained on guard. You fucker, what did you do? An angry voice exclaimed. Naruto stiffened, expecting an attack, but it did not come. When the team gathered around the now talking head, they could not help but exclaim in surprise. Not wanting to wait for any further tricks, Asuma sealed the head and the body in separate scrolls. Ah, yes. It is done then. The annoying lord asked. Yes, it was a Jashin worshipper. He is taken care of. Asuma replied. Ah, yes. A Jashin worshipper. I suppose thanks are in order, then. Would you like to stay overnight for a feast? The lord questioned. A generous offer, but I will have to decline. We must leave as soon as possible. Asuma said. Ah, yes. Duty calls, I suppose. You have our thanks. Please do visit us again. The pleasure was all ours. We hope to see you again. Asuma said and commanded his team to leave for their way back home. The Jashin cultist, you say? The Hokage asked. Yeah. Asuma replied, way too casual for talking to his leader. I suppose he is dead, then. The Hokage replied, uncaring. Well, Naruto did cut his head off. But, he is still alive. Ino chimed in. The Hokage raised an eyebrow and before he could ask for it, Asuma summoned a scroll and released its contents. You blasted creature, I swear by Jashin-sama, I will kill all of you, slowly and painfully, and sacrifice your sorry asses in the worst possible manner. You can, of course, guess who said this. Adapting to the situation quickly, the Anbu guards quickly put a sock in the mouth of the speaking head. Looking at the flabbergasted expression on the Hokage's face, Asuma said, he just would not die. I can certainly see that. The Hokage said. Then, looking towards the Anbu, he said, take him to Ibiki, please. The Anbu followed the orders wordlessly and disappeared with the head in hand. No injuries, then? The Hokage asked, coming back to the topic. Nothing major, no. Asuma replied. That is quite an accomplishment. Since Hidan is a known missing ninja, this mission will be ranked up to A rank and you all will be paid accordingly. The Hokage said, seemingly proud. Naruto was happy. With the money from the A rank mission and the money that he had been saving up, he could finally buy a small house with a nice garden now. Say, Naruto, will you mind joining us for a family dinner tomorrow night? Ino asked, breaking him out of his thoughts. Family dinner? Naruto questioned. Yeah, Shikamaru's, Choji's and my family usually meet up once a month since our fathers were a team and all. Ino said. Naruto did not know who Choji was, but he did not really care. Why me, though? I don't think your families would like that very much. Naruto said, dismissing the idea. My father certainly would not mind. Shikamaru said, a touch of boredom, like always, attached to his voice. See? My parents would not mind either, and Choji's parents are very good too. Ino chimed in. I suppose I can, then. He really did not want to go, but had no excuses. And maybe, he could feel like a part of a family for once. Channel your chakra through this. Asuma told the three of them. Team 10 was currently in the training ground 10 and Asuma was pointing 3 sheet of papers towards them. Following what he said, the 3 genin took 1 sheet of paper each and channeled their chakra through it. Shikamaru's paper turned into dust and then burnt off. Ino's paper sogged and turned into dust. And Naruto's paper split in 2 and turned into dust. What was that? Ino, the voice of the team, asked. Interesting. Asuma murmured, ignoring Ino for now. Stop talking to yourself. Ino huffed. This was a chakra paper. It represents your chakra nature. And what happened here is quite unique. He said, obliging Ino. Unique how? She questioned again. Well, firstly, all 3 of you have more than 1 chakra nature, that's pretty rare in itself. But, to top that, you all have 1 common element, the earth, that is, and 1 unique element. Fire for Shikamaru, water for Ino and wind for Naruto. He said, earth is a very good defensive element and I can teach you some earth jutsu too. Fire and wind are my specialties, so we have that covered too. And for Ino, I will have to look up for a good water user, as water is contradicting to my fire nature. He finished. Well, we can explore your unique natures later on. For now, you have to turn these leaves into dust with your chakra alone. He said, pointing towards the trees. Their routine for today was the same too. Chakra nature transformation in the morning and D ranks till the evening. They had completed an upwards of 200 D rank missions. But that was not the point right now, the point was that he was heading towards the Yamanaka clan district for the dinner he had agreed to. He had not changed his clothes since his kimono doubled as casual wear too, but he had tied his hair in a ponytail to do something different for once. Walking towards the Yamanaka district, he was feeling very nervous. Reason for your visit? The blonde guard asked. I was invited for a dinner. Naruto replied, but he doubted the guys would let him in. By Ino Yamanaka? He questioned. Yes. Naruto replied. The guy looked at the list in his hands and surprisingly, let him in. Yeah, if he had any doubts before, he had none now. Ino was rich. The district in itself just shouted dignity. But, the clan head's house was massive, he was sure that their whole room alone was as big as his apartment. Hey Naruto. Over here. Ino called him from the top of the stairs, calling him towards her. Naruto obliged and started to climb the stairs, when he reached there, Ino was not alone. There was a lady standing with her, maybe her mom. They look really similar, Naruto thought. This is my mom. Ino introduced, confirming his suspicion. Hello, dear. My name is Maiko, who might you be? Now named Maiko asked. I am Uzumaki Naruto, ma'am. He said. Now, none of that, you can call me Maiko. She said, raising her hand to ruffle Naruto's hair. Naruto was not used to being petted. He was not used to being touched, really. So, when the lady tried to ruffle his hair, he stiffened and a purple chain shot out of his back on its own, seemingly leering at Maiko's hand threateningly. Maiko did see this, but ignored it and continued to ruffle his hair. Realizing that the woman meant no harm to its master, the chain retreated but did not disappear, staying there like a loyal guard dog. Why don't you head to Ino's room? Shikamaru is waiting there too. Maiko said. Why yes ma'am. I am sorry. Naruto said. It's alright, and did I not ask you to call me Maiko? She asked. Yes, Maiko-san. I will take your leave then. Naruto said, and Maiko just giggled. Naruto did not know what he was feeling, but the head pat was really warm. He wondered if Maiko-san would mind doing it again. And maybe, if he will be good, she will even hug him, like he had seen mothers do to their children. Ah, well. He was overthinking again. The dinner was great, but uneventful. He had just sat there, eating and listening to how families behaved with each other. He had enjoyed his dinner for the first time. He wondered if that was what having a family felt like. Also, Maiko-san had ruffled his hair again while he was leaving, and to him, that was the most important part of the night. She was really warm. Now, the only thing that could make his night any better was a warm sleep, but he was not gonna get it. So, he supposed he should be happy with what he had. Balancing nature chakra with your own chakra needs very delicate control, but for some reason, your chakra system is pre-exposed to nature chakra. As a consequence, your body has been subconsciously absorbing and balancing the nature chakra on its own. Fukuro explained. But, this does not mean that you are using the Sage mode to its full potential. He continued. Sage mode, to its core, is about conscious balance. The very basis of this transformation is awareness. You need to be aware of your surrounding. You need to be aware of yourself. You need to be aware of your chakra, and you need to be aware of how your chakra mixes with the nature chakra. The owl said. I see, but rather than giving this whole speech about balance, how about you tell me what exactly am I supposed to do? Naruto questioned, impatience dripping from his voice. Young blood. Such impatience. He sighed out. Patience, my boy, is the key to using Sage mode to its full potential. He said and started moving towards his house, prompting Naruto to follow him. Fukuro took him to his house. It was a cozy home. Just as Naruto started to explore, an owl came and sat next to Fukuru. Not wanting to be rude, Naruto too sat down across them. "This is Fuka-chan, my wife," Fukuru said. "Ah, dear. Is this young Naruto?" The now identified Fuka asked. "Yes, he is," the owl replied. "Nice to meet you, youngling. I am Fuka." She introduced herself. "Hello, Fuka-sama. I am Uzumaki Naruto. It is a pleasure to meet you," Naruto said, introducing himself in kind. "Ahem." Fukuru scoffed. "It is about time that Fuka and I start cooking, and you, young Naruto, are to observe us cooking without moving," he said. Lacking the energy to argue, he did what he was told to do and sat down on the sofa in front of the kitchen. This was the first week off he had gotten since he had become a shinobi. Apparently, Asuma-sensei had teamed up with the sensei of Team 7 to a mission to the Wave, a small village near the outskirts of the Fire Nation. He had told them how a business tycoon was trying to take over the territory of the Hidden Leaf village and how a guy named Kakashi and he had to assassinate the man. Since this would be a week-long mission, the Kakashi guy and Asuma had put the responsibility of training their teams on the sensei of Team 8, a lady named Kuroku or something. He was bad at remembering names, wasn't he? Well, anyways, taking the opportunity, he asked Asuma if he could visit his summons for training for a week. Asuma had agreed and gotten him the permission for a training trip from the Hokage. So, here he was, observing an old owl couple cooking. "So, why did I have to stare at you for 6 hours?" Naruto grumbled. "Who cooks for 6 hours, anyways?" He continued. "We do, young Naruto," he said and came back with a mirror. "And this is why you did that," he said, showing Naruto the mirror. His eyeshadow had grown thicker and had turned into a darker shade of purple. "What is this?" Naruto questioned, shocked. "This is the partial sage transformation," Fukuru said. "Follow me," he said and moved out of the house. And Naruto followed him. Now, they were standing in front of a large rock. "Try punching it," Fukuru said. The rock, Naruto questioned, shocked. "Yes, just do it," Fukuru ordered. "Fine." Naruto sighed and ran towards the rock and, boom. The large noise echoed and the rock shattered into millions of pieces. "Whoa," Naruto murmured, looking at his hands. "This is what you get as a result of the partial sage transformation," Fukuru said, interrupting Naruto's musings. "Senjutsu will also empower your jutsus," he informed. "Higher style. Fireball jutsu," Sasuke said, exhaling a large fireball, the heat of which conveyed his frustration. Yes, Sasuke was frustrated. He felt like he was not improving at all. First, he got stuck with an annoying fangirl and a fatso. Then, his sensei was a lazy jonin who would rather read his smut all day than train them. And finally, the same sensei had thrusted them to a lady for training rather than taking them for the A rank mission he was doing. He had not even awakened his Sharingan yet, how was he supposed to catch up to Itachi without his Sharingan, anyways? Even Team 10 had done an A rank mission. Was he not stronger than them? Yeah, he had never defeated that redhead, but that was the academy. He was sure that if he awakened the Sharingan, he could beat him too. After all, Itachi was stronger than everyone when he was of his age. She could not thank Asuma-sensei enough. Kurenai's natural chakra nature was water, and that made her the perfect teacher for Ino. Water style. Water wave. Ino exclaimed, happy to see the large stream of water coming out of her mouth. "You have improved quite a lot, Ino," Kurenai said, appreciating the efforts the girl was putting. "Thank you, Kurenai-sensei. It's all thanks to you," Ino said, very thankful. "Shadow sewing jutsu," Shikamaru exclaimed as a small thread of shadow became third-dimensional. "That is a vast improvement you have made, Shikamaru," Shikaku said. "Vast, but not enough. How troublesome." Shikamaru sighed out. "Indeed, but these techniques are based on yin release and these can be improved only with practice," Shikaku explained. "Who knew that midget would pull out 2 A-rank ninjas from his ass?" Asuma said. "Yeah, I really was not expecting that," Kakashi replied. "The young boy, he was quite a fighter. His ice release was pretty solid. Too bad for him, my ash release was the perfect counter for it." "How was yours?" Asuma questioned. "I would have died if it wasn't for Pakken and the pack holdings Abusa off. That guy was one hell of a swordsman. At least, we got the Kubikurum. It would be a good bargaining tool if we would need one against the mist," Kakashi said. "Yeah," Asuma said, settling into a comfortable silence. "So, you are finally using your inherent ability to use Senjutsu. Took you long enough." A deep voice growled. Naruto was meditating, as per the instructions of the old owl. And well, things happened and he was here in front of the Kyuubi. "Inherent, you say? Did you, perhaps, know who my parents were?" Naruto questioned. "You have improved at noticing small things, perhaps your puny mind can, indeed, comprehend more than I thought it could," the Kyuubi mocked. "You did not answer my question," Naruto replied. "I am not obligated to answer any of your questions. But yes, not only I, but many know of your heritage. The Kyuubi said. Lies? Naruto scoffed. I have nothing to gain from lying to you, and contrary to what you think, I am the only one who has never lied to you. The Kyuubi said, settling his jaw on his paws. Indulge me, then. Tell me who they were. Naruto questioned, trying to not sound desperate. Why should I? I have nothing to gain from telling you anything. The Kyuubi scoffed. Your selfishness is the only reason you are caged in here, perhaps. Naruto said, trying to mock the nine-tailed fox. A creature like yourself calling me selfish. Ha. The Kyuubi laughed. I have been caged for almost a century, just so you humans could have a trump card for the next inevitable war, and you call me selfish? He asked. Maybe you are right, maybe humans are selfish. But then again, maybe you are wrong. Maybe you are on the other side of the coin which needs to be hidden for the other side to shine. Maybe you are the one sacrifice which needed to be made for the betterment of all the others, just like I was the one who had to be sacrificed to stop your rampage. Naruto said. Do not think too highly of yourself, boy. The reason of my attack on Konoha was also a human. You delude yourself too much. You have so much arrogance, well you are but a fragile creature. Humans manipulate, humans play dirty, and they go to uncalled for extents to do what they think is right. The Kyuubi growled. Thinking highly of myself is the only thing that establishes my existence. Have I not been subjected to enough hatred? Have I not done enough for my village? Why can I not think highly of myself when I am the only one who thinks highly of myself? You think you are the only one suffering? Don't delude yourself. The chain is not only attached to your neck, the same chain extends to my neck too. This seal not only binds you to me, it binds me to you, too. You suffer from isolation. I suffer from hatred. You suffer from unfairness. Well, guess what? I do too. Don't think I am happy with the shorter end of the stick in my life, but I am doing what I must to survive, and you are only making things harder for me, and ultimately, for yourself. Because, eventually, someone will come for you, and I will be the one fighting for not only my, but your safety too. Naruto said, now breathless, trying to cover his frustration that he was feeling for not getting the answers he sought. The Kyuubi did not deem it worth to reply and sent him out of his mind. So, how was your mission, Asuma-sensei? Ino chirped. Kill or be killed, you know how it is. Asuma replied, puffing his cigar. Well, anyways, I have something for you today. He continued. What now? Shikamaru sighed. These are the forms for the Chunin exams. All three genin straightened up at this. I believe you are ready for it. Overkill perhaps, but at the very least, ready. He said, passing the forms to the genin. You can, of course, refuse if you feel you are not ready. Asuma said. Now, you can have the day off. If you wish to join the Chunin exams, be present at the academy at 8, a week from now. He concluded and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. So, Daddy. What do you think? Ino asked. Well, I would have liked it if you had more experience under your belt before you enter in the Chunin exams. It will certainly be a safer choice for you to take the exams this year. Inoichi said. Safer, why so? Ino asked. This year, the Chunin exams will be held in Konoha itself, and it will be at least 3 to 4 more years before Konoha hosts the Chunin exams again. So, if you think you are ready, I think you should go for it. Inoichi explained. Hey, what do you mean by that? I can take care of myself outside of the village too. Ino exclaimed indignantly. Of course you can, honey. I am just saying that taking your first attempt in your home village itself is a safer option. Inoichi placated. Yeah, whatever. Ino huffed. Maiko just giggled at the familiar scene. Troublesome, why do I need to do this? Shikamaru was willing to sleep the exams out. He would happily do D-rank missions for the rest of his life. But, he couldn't. Why? Because. You lazy brat, you are not sitting the exams out. You better start preparing for the exams now. Yoshino exclaimed. Troublesome. Troublesome. Why can't you let me sleep? Why can't you let me sleep? Shikaku and Shikamaru chorused. As soon as they realized what they had done, Shikaku disappeared in a swirl of leaves. But, Shikamaru did not know the Shunshin yet. And well, his mother was heading towards him with a pan in her hand. Damn. He sighed out. He should run now, should he not? But that would be too troublesome. He supposed he could take this one like a man. Naruto was happy. He had, with his savings, finally purchased a house. It was on the red light district and it was small. But, it was his, and, it had a good garden. So, he was happy. Yeah, and the Chunin exams were coming too. He was really happy. And he was really tired too. He was happily tired, he supposed. But, did such a state even existed? Ah, he was overthinking again, wasn't he? Why was he tired, you ask? Well, he had been trying to control 12 chains at once. Till now, he had discovered that his chains worked like an automatic defense. They would automatically pop out when they felt any danger, but it was very difficult to control them consciously. It was like trying to control 12 hands at once. He could control 4 easily enough, he could command up to 8 chains to go in a general direction, but with 12, his control went haywire. "Hey Naruto," Ino said, running towards him. "What are you up to?" she asked. "Trying to control these," he said, pointing towards his back from where the chains were emerging. "I see, do you think you could spare some time to teach me the Earth Clone Jutsu?" Ino asked. "Also, Mom told me to invite you to dinner tonight, so, perhaps, we could go to the Yamanaka district now, train for a bit, and have dinner then," she said. "I suppose I can, yes," Naruto said. "That's awesome, let's go then," Ino exclaimed. He had been wondering if he would see Maiko-san again. Maybe, she was just being polite in front of the guests before, he had thought. But, no. Maiko-san had called him over for dinner again. He was glad. Maybe she would pet his head again. "Hey Naruto, snap out of it," Ino huffed. "Sorry Ino. Where were we?" Naruto questioned, not looking sorry at all. "You were showing me the hand signs," Ino said, locking her hands at her waist. "Yeah, look carefully," he said as he started forming the hand signs. "Earth style. Earth clone jutsu," he said as a perfect replica of himself formed beside him. "So, you have to channel your chakra throughout your body and let it mix with the mudder sand around you. As you will your chakra to take your shape, just like the basic clone, an earth clone will be formed," he concluded. "Alright, lem try now," Ino said, forming the hand signs. "Earth style. Earth clone jutsu," she exclaimed, and a clone was formed somewhat. Yeah, it was brown. It was shorter than her and had no head. "Alright, it was bad. I suppose we have much practice to do," Naruto said. It took her an upward of 3 hours to master the technique, but she had done it. And now, they were at their way to her house for dinner. Yeah, she was really hungry. "So, Naruto, what have you decided about the Chunin exams?" Maiko asked, serving the dinner and sitting on the chair next to Ino. "I am going to participate," Naruto said, without thinking for a second. "They are quite dangerous, you know. You should not make such decisions hastily," she said. "I have to earn, and the D ranks are not enough to let me buy forever. Also, as things are, I have practically no savings, I spent majority of my savings in buying a house. So, I don't really have a choice," Naruto explained. Naruto spoke quite a lot when he was with her mother, Ino noticed. "I see," Maiko replied. "But, money is not everything, you know," Maiko sighed. "I know that, but money is the only motivation I have as of now," Naruto said. "Money should not be your only motivation, Naruto. You need to have at least one emotional aspect attached to your life or else you will suffer later in your life," she explained. I gotta pay my bills myself. And well, no family, you know," Naruto replied. He did not want to argue with her, but she was questioning her motivation. And he had to justify his motives. Not to her but to himself. She understood, she supposed. To someone like him, who did not have a family to come back to, earning money seemed like the only motive to do any missions. She could really not blame him for such an outlook on life. After all, he had become what the villagers had made him, and she did not have any room to speak when she did not reach out to the boy before. "The food was great," Naruto said, noticing the silence. "I will take my leave, then," he said, bowing towards Maiko. Then, he waved at Ino and disappeared in a flicker. Yeah, he hadn't gotten any head pats today. Maybe, today just was not his day. Walking into the academy, they could see a lot of different headbands around. Synonymously deciding to avoid any conflicts, Team 10 decided to reach their destination silently. Noticing the Jinjutsu on the second floor, Shikamaru prompted the other two to silently head to the third floor. And on the third floor was Asuma-sensei. "Ah, so all of you came after all," Asuma said. "Of course we did." Ino huffed, her hands going to her waist. "Well, it's great that you did, because had one of you backed out, the whole team would not have been able to participate," Asuma said. What?" Ino exclaimed. But, you said," she continued. "I know what I said, Ino. And I said that because I did not want to force any one of you to join out of obligation. Regardless, you are all here. Do your best and take care of each other," Asuma said. "Yes, sensei." The 3 genin chorused. "Well then, don't let me stop you. You may go ahead now," he said, moving aside and consequently, showing them the door. Heading inside the room, they had already started to feel the killer intent oozing out of the participants. There were a lot of people in there. There was no specific age group too, at their first glance, they could see people as young as 11 and as old as 25 to 26. Seeing Sasuke, Ino squealed and ran towards him. Sighing, Naruto and Shikamaru followed her too. Apparently, Team 7 and Team 8 were participating too. As things were, Ino and Sakura were hanging on either of Sasuke's shoulders. Choji was offering chips to Shikamaru, who, in turn, was looking half asleep. Hiba and Shino were arguing about something, Hinata was trying to separate them, and Naruto was standing aside, pretending he did not know any of them. You all should keep it low. You are all rookies, aren't you? A seemingly friendly voice cut through their bickering. What's it to you? Kiba growled, seemingly offended. Nothing, of course, but you are all attracting a lot of attention. He said, waving his hands towards the crowd that was glaring at them. And as a fellow Konoha shinobi, it's my duty to guide my juniors. He said. We are the same rank, so you cannot refer to us as your juniors, you know. Shikamaru said. Of course, I know that. But, I have a lot of experience under my belt and maybe, I can help you a bit. He said. And, how exactly can you help us? Shikamaru questioned. These cards of mine. He said, summoning a deck of cards in his hands. Have some information on everyone here. If you want, I can share some with you. He said. Everyone, you say? Sasuke intervened. Almost everyone, I would say. There are always exceptions. He said. Also, my name is Kabuto Yakushi. He finally introduced himself. Hein, tell me about Rock Lee of Konoha, Gaara of the Sand and Naruto of Konoha. Sasuke said. At this point, all the teams had gathered around each other. Let's see. Kabuto said, channeling Chakra in his cards. Rock Lee of Konoha. Said to be unable to use Chakra. Graduated as the dead last under special circumstances. But, under the guidance of Mido Gai, he has grown to become a formidable Taijutsu master. He said. Next is Gaara, yes. He said, separating one more card from his deck. But, before he could channel Chakra through it, sand covered the card and crushed it. Try to talk about me once more and next time, it will be your body. A redhead growled looking at Kabuto. He had fair skin, green eyes, and short auburn hair. He was wearing a black bodysuit with an open neck, t-shirt-like sleeves, and almost full-length leggings. With this, he wore a white cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of his hips. He had a wide leather band from his left shoulder to his right hip with which he carries his sand gourd and around which he wraps his forehead protector. Ah, you are Gaara, I suppose. Fine, I won't, Kabuto said. Then, looking towards Naruto and realizing he already had a chain floating behind his said. I think even Naruto-kun will not be very happy if I shared any information about him. With that said, his cards disappeared in a poof of smoke. Before Sasuke could protest, another poof of smoke appeared, this time in front of the classroom, and an imposing man came out of the smoke. No one will fight here. He barked. Take your assigned seats within 5 seconds, or you will be disqualified. He said. As everyone took their seats, he said, I am Ibiki Marino, the proctor for this phase of the exams. Now, you will be given a question paper. You will have 45 minutes to answer 9 questions and 15 minutes to answer the 10th question, which will be disclosed during those 15 minutes. He said. Do not raise your hands, I am not your teacher. He growled as he saw a hand coming up. I will explain the rules only once. So, listen carefully. Each one of you will start with 10 points, for each time you are caught copying, 2 points will be deducted. If all 10 of your points are deducted, you along with your team will be eliminated. He explained and motioned towards his assistants to distribute the papers. Ino did not know the meaning of the test. But, she did not need to. She just had to wait till Sakura dropped her pen and then she would just take over her body to get the answers. Yeah, this was easy. Shikamaru wanted to sigh. He really wanted to, but he could not. If he did, there was a chance that the proctor would consider it as him trying to cheat. So, he fought with the whole of his willpower to deny himself the chance of sighing. The test was not hard, he knew the answers. Well, he hoped Ino and Naruto would know the answers too. Naruto knew that Shikamaru knew the answers and Ino's clan jutsu were just made for these situations. But, he did not have the answers. He could not call any birds too, as he was far from the window. So, he supposed some creativity was in order. Willing a chakra chain into existence, he sent it towards the aim ninja sitting next to him. Poking him from the other side, he made him look the other way. As soon as he did, Ibiki shouted, Number 77, you are eliminated, you and your team may leave. Realizing that he had been played, he graciously accepted defeat and started to move towards the door. But, as soon as he stood from his chair, Naruto wrapped his chain around his leg and made him fall on the desk of the next guy, and thus, a commotion was formed. Noticing the other girl next to him was enjoying the chaos, he switched their papers with a gust of wind. As soon as he confirmed the paper was completely solved, he wrote his own name and roll number on the paper and proceeded to plant his head on the paper and sleep. There are some special rules for the 10th question, and before I explain them, I am warning you only once, you will not argue with me or ask any questions. If you do, you will be eliminated. Ibiki said. So. He continued, the 10th question is special. You can choose if you want to take it or not. If you choose not to take it, you may leave. But, if you decide to answer it and end up giving the wrong answer, you will never be promoted to the rank of Chunin. He finished. You have 5 minutes to decide what you want to do. Just like he had expected, slowly but surely, people started to leave the room. After 5 minutes, he asked, "Are you sure you want to continue the exams?" "Yes." A chorus came. "Fine then. You all pass." Just when Ibiki was done with explaining the true meaning of the test to the genin, a banner crashed through the window, and in a poof of smoke, out came a woman. She was an average-sized young woman who was of slender frame. She had light brown pupil-less eyes. Her hair was black with a violet tint and was styled in a short, spiky, fanned-out ponytail. She wore an outfit that was crafted of thin metal mesh to fit the lines of her body that covers her from neck to thigh. Over this, she wore a tan overcoat with a purple inseam and a pocket on each side, a dark orange miniskirt, a dark blue belt, and pale gray shin guards. In addition to the typical forehead protector, she also wore a small pendant that looked like a snake fang. "Come on brats. Are you ready for the second round of your exams?" "Bah, you better be, because if you are not, you are dead meat," she exclaimed. "I am Anko Mitarashi, the proctor for the second round of the exams. Meet me at the training ground 44 within 15 minutes, or else, you will be disqualified." With that said, she promptly disappeared in a poof of smoke. The moment of silence took over everyone for a second, and then, everyone rushed like a monkey towards the training ground 44. The training ground 44 was intimidating, even from the outside. With trees as tall as the tallest building of Konoha, it was a sight to behold. Naruto had sunshine towards the training ground with Ino and Shikamaru. Since they were not used to the instantaneous movement, they were currently gasping for breath on the ground. "You guys really need to learn the Sunshin," Naruto said, and he sounded almost chipper. Ino looked up at him to scold him, but he was grinning. Ino had hardly seen him smile, let alone grin. So, settling her anger within herself, she questioned. "You seem awfully cheerful today, what's up with you?" To this, even Shikamaru raised his head to meet his eyes. And yes, he seemed happy. "I had a power nap during the exams, I had been dying to have one ever since I heard of the concept," Naruto said, happiness dripping from his voice. Ino was going to shrug the topic off until she realized but, "You told us. You know that you could not sleep and all?" she questioned, trying to give voice to her thoughts. "Yeah, but the Kyuubi has been rather generous since our last talk," Naruto explained. And yes, Naruto had once drifted off to sleep while meditating, and surprisingly, he had a good 17 hours of uninterrupted sleep. When he woke up and realized that no, he was not having a panic attack, he was almost 100% sure that he was dead. But, as generous as the Kyuubi had been in suppressing its chakra when he slept, he had never allowed Naruto in his mind when he was awake since then. Regardless, Naruto was very grateful, and he was going to sleep as much as he could till the Kyuubi, inevitably, changed his mind. "Why you talk to it?" Ino shrieked. But, before he could reply, a kunai was thrown towards him. Of course, his ever-so-loyal chain had caught it and sent it back towards the owner, and the kunai never touched him, but it was the sentiment that mattered. "So, Proctor-san, is it not against the rules to intentionally injure a participant before a task?" he questioned. "Not really, no. As a proctor, I actually have free reign to do whatever I want," she replied. "Whatever did I do to earn your wrath?" he asked, still smiling. "Ignoring me is enough to earn a kunai to your neck, you should be grateful you are alive. Now, stop talking to your little girlfriend and listen to me," she said. "You speak as if your kunai actually touched me," Naruto replied, just as confident. Anko did not deem it worthy to reply to his jab and continued with her speech. "This is the training ground 44, infamously known as the Forest of Death. You will be sent in from different gates with a scroll in hand. There will be a total of 2 types of scrolls, distributed among all the teams. Your objective is to collect both the types of scrolls and reach to the tower in the center of the forest. It will be a 5 days long task. You are not allowed to open your scrolls. Apart from that, everything goes in there," she concluded. "Now sign these forms so we cannot be blamed for your deaths and go to collect your scrolls. I think Naruto should keep it. His chains will protect the scroll, if nothing else," Shikamaru said. Team 10 had gotten the Earth Scroll. They were currently 5 minutes inside the forest. Shikamaru had suggested that they should go straight towards the tower because everyone will think that everyone was doing that, and due to this, no smart team will actually use the strategy. Therefore, the teams that actually follow the strategy were more likely to be the overconfident ones who could be taken advantage of. Yeah, Naruto and Ino really did not understood how Shikamaru thought. But, they trusted him enough to follow his strategy blindly. "Come on, Sasuke-kun. Show me that you are worth my time. Till now, you are but a disappointment. When Itachi was your age, he had made it into the Anbu, and here you are, a measly genin. Is this what the Uchiha name has been reduced to? How pathetic." A slippery voice echoed. Don't you dare speak ill of the Uchiha. Show yourself and I will show you how worthy I am. He replied, frustrated. Team 7 did not have a very good dynamic. None of them were willing to work in a team. Till now, they had not taken a single mission higher than a simple C-rank delivery mission till the outskirts of Konoha. So only the sage knew why Kakashi recommended his team for the Chunin exams. They had gotten the Earth Scroll. The three of them were arguing about who should get to keep the scroll when a gust of wind separated Choji from the team. Then, an Oto Genin had utterly dominated Sakura and Sasuke. And now, the same Genin was mocking him and somehow he knew of Itachi too. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Sasuke exhaled a large ball of fire towards a tree. You missed again, I am afraid. The disgusting voice had come from behind him. But behind him was Sakura, wasn't she? True to what he had feared, the Oto Genin was holding Sakura by her neck. You. Leave her alone. He shouted as he tried to blitz the Oto Nin. The Oto ninja just backflipped while still holding the girl. Shall I snap her neck? Or maybe torture her a bit? He said. How about I slit her neck just enough to make her choke to death? The Oto Nin questioned to himself. Feeling the rush of chakra towards his eyes, he blitzed towards the ninja again. And, to his surprise, he punched him straight on the face. Making sure that Sakura was safe, he shouted fire style. Phoenix fire jutsu. As several small fireballs surrounded the Oto Nin and burned him. Realizing that he had actually won, he reached for a kunai and yes, finally. He exclaimed. In the reflection of the kunai, red eyes were blazing. One with one tomo and the other with two. So, you do have the ability to possess them. Sasuke stiffened. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up. But, before he could turn or retreat, he felt teeth sinking into his shoulder. And then, pain. We don't want to waste our time, just tell us what scroll you have. We do not need to fight if we have the same scrolls. Shikamaru said. You speak as if you can beat us. One of the AIM ninjas said. We are the strongest team here and your scroll will be the one which will let us pass the exams. So, you better be grateful and hand the scroll over to us. Yeah. Naruto murmured as two chains erupted from the ground below the AIM ninja. The chains wrapped around his waist and legs and brought the captured ninja towards Team 10. Hand over the scroll or he dies. Ino said, putting a kunai to his throat. As if you leaf weaklings could actually kill. The girl of the team scoffed. Before she could think of another taunt to buy some time, blood erupted from the captured ninja's neck and his body went limp. What? Why you killed him? You killed him. The girl shouted and rushed towards Naruto blindly, only to impale herself on the now sharp chain and falling down lifelessly. Would you give us your scroll now? Shikamaru sighed out. Why yes, please take the scroll and let me go. He said, on the verge of tears. He passed them the scroll and luckily for Team 10, it was the scroll they needed. Hello, Naruto-kun. A voice echoed in the forest around them. Naruto questioned, looking towards where he could sense the person. Whoever told you my name, mister? He added another question. The censor then? The voice hissed as the owner came out of the shadows of the tree. You are quite strong from what I know. He said. The three genin had straightened up and prepared for a fight. Tell me, Naruto-kun, what is the point of trying to protect the village who spat on your existence? They laughed at your misery, did they not? Are you, perhaps, naive enough to believe that they will come to recognize you as a human as time passes? The village protects me as much as I protect the village. Becoming a missing ninja with the powers of a Chunin is a fool's errand. What is your point? He said. I am Orochimaru of the legendary 3, join me. I will make you strong, I will keep you safe, and I only ask for your loyalty in exchange. He said. The one who ran with his tail between his legs. I will pass. Naruto said. Quite a mouth you have. You will soon come to realize the futility of your denial. You think you will be trained properly here? The last two Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi were not allowed to leave the village. The same will happen to you when you outgrow your usefulness. Your sensei is Asuma, is he not? Orochimaru finally asked. Do you think he was selected for this job like the others were? He is the son of the Hokage, he was there to judge your loyalties and identify your weaknesses to strike you down if your loyalties were to come to question. He jabbed. I know that, of course. But, I am free as things stand. So, no thank you. He said. You are free, you say. Quite an optimistic approach you have. Try saying you are free to yourself in the mirror. Regardless, when you seek power, I will welcome you with open arms. He said and dissolved into mud. What was that about, Naruto? Ino questioned. I am just as clueless as you are. Naruto replied. You were talking to him without any hesitation, do you, perhaps, know him? Shikamaru questioned. Don't question my loyalties, Shikamaru. He struck a nerve, that's all. Let's move towards the tower now. Naruto said. Heading towards the tower, Team 10 had stumbled upon an interesting sight. Choji and Sakura were trying to fight three Oto genin, while Sasuke was seemingly unconscious in a cave behind them. And from the looks of it, they were not really doing a good job. One of the genin had his leg on Choji's face and was aiming his arm towards Choji's stomach, while the female genin of the team was holding Sakura by her hair. Both Choji and Sakura were bleeding a lot and from the looks of it, needed instant first aid. "So, you want to help them? They are your friends after all?" Naruto asked. "Yeah." Shikamaru said. "Yeah." Shikamaru said as he released a thread of shadow to stop the bandage guy from stomping Choji. At the same time, mind transfer jutsu. Ino said to take over the body of the female genin of their team. But both the Odo nin recognized the danger they were in and flipped back to dodge the attacks. As soon as there was a distance made between the Odo nin and Choji and Sakura, Ino and Shikamaru ran towards them to provide first aid. Seeing that the two new ninja were just focusing on healing the downed genin, she said, "Yo, you think you can ignore us?" As she threw a kunai towards them, behind which a bell was attached. Before the kunai could land on her target, a purple chain deflected the kunai. Landing from the tree above, Naruto became the wall between the Odo nin and Team 7. "I will take care of them," Naruto said, prompting Shikamaru and Ino to take care of their injured friends. The two obliged and attended to their friends. "You think you can take the three of us alone? Quite cocky, aren't we?" the half-mummy mocked. Ignoring the taunts, Naruto started to set the pace of the fight as he expelled a wind blast from his mouth. The three jumped in different directions and tried to encircle him. "Earth style. Mud bullet," Naruto exclaimed, shooting bullets towards the non-bandaged guy. And, surprisingly enough, he only raised his hands towards the bullets and an air force cut the bullet down. The girl of the team was trying to use ninjutsu on him. So, Naruto supposed she was a support-type ninja. Identifying the weak point of the team, Naruto rushed towards the girl and engaged her in a taijutsu battle. True to what he had thought, the other two were vigorously trying to disengage their taijutsu match. "Take this," the non-bandaged guy exclaimed as he shot a burst of towards Naruto's back. Just as he said that, a couple of chains erupted from Naruto's back, took a solid hold of the girl he was battling, and flipped her in between the air shot and himself. Unable to move, she could do nothing but get the wind knocked out of herself and passing out. Just as he disengaged from the taijutsu match and flipped back to get some distance between himself and the other two, he fell down on his knees as a screeching sound invaded his eardrums. Looking backwards, he realized that it was the mummified ninja who was pointing his hands towards him. "So, the mummy guy uses sound waves, and the other one uses air or wind," Naruto analyzed. Thinking that Naruto was vulnerable, the non-bandaged guy ran towards Naruto with a kunai, intending to stab him. Only to be picked up and tossed aside by a pair of purple chains. Apparently realizing that their master was in danger, the chains quickly softened at the top and snuggled into Naruto's ears, effectively blocking out all the sound. Now that his opponent's sound was useless, he charged up a pseudo-senjutsu-powered punch and knocked the mummified ninja out. The thrown genin, now realizing that he is the only one who is not knocked out, quickly scrambled to his knees and bowed down in front of Naruto. Please, don't kill me. Take the scroll and you will not see us again," he said. "Fine, hand over your scroll and get lost. If you or your team try anything funny, it will be your head," Naruto said. "So, how did it go?" Ino questioned. "They are taken care of," Naruto replied. "Dead?" Shikamaru questioned. "Nope, they exchanged their scroll for their lives," he said, showing them the Earth scroll. "We don't really need the scroll though," Ino said. "Maybe Team 7 does," Shikamaru said. Naruto had not collected the scroll for Team 7, but he did not really minded giving it to them. Talking about Team 7, they were all passed out in the nearby cave. So, Ino and Shikamaru had decided to stay over for the night to look over them. If they woke up tomorrow, they would leave or maybe team up. If they did not, they will just carry them to the tower. "You can go sleep, I will take the guard," Naruto said. "Nah, you should sleep. You have just started sleeping after all," Shikamaru said, but the tiredness was visible in his eyes. Well, not only his, even in Ino's for that matter. "You look sleepy and you are not used to stay up at night anyways," Naruto said, going out of the cave to set up a fire. "Don't worry, I got this," he said before leaving the cave. But the native birds as his scouts and his unnatural energy, taking guard at night was an easy errand. It was the next morning and Sakura had woken up. She was currently fussing over how a crazy ninja had bitten Sasuke and how she could do nothing against the freaky ninja. Eventually, when Sasuke woke up, he had a dark purple aura leaking out of him and black, flame-like patterns covering half of his face. He had started to attack Shikamaru, who was sitting next to him. Realizing that there was chakra leaking out of him, Naruto wrapped him in his chakra chains to punch him into unconsciousness. But to his surprise, his chains had started to absorb that chakra. As soon as the chains had realized that the chakra that was being absorbed was dangerous for their master, one more chain had shot out of his back and dug itself into the ground to form a mechanism to drain that chakra without letting it enter Naruto's chakra system. So, one of the chain was absorbing chakra from Sasuke while the other was draining it into the ground. Sasuke had fallen unconscious after being drained out of the chakra. Since Team 7 had a heaven scroll and Naruto had an earth to spare, they decided to head to the tower together. Sasuke was still wrapped in Naruto's chains, just in case. Sasuke Uchiha vs Yoroi Akato. Walking into the stadium, Sasuke was confident. He had awakened the Sharingan, and in the 2 days he had gotten to rest, Kakashi had finally been useful for once and properly sealed that curse seal to the point that it would activate only if he really wanted it to activate. Fight. The Proctor said. As soon as he heard the Proctor, his eyes blazed red. Noticing the chakra suction near his opponent's hand, he maintained his distance, inhaled a deep breath and said, "Fire style. Phoenix Fire Jutsu." As several balls of flame smashed on the ground to create a lot of smoke. But, since his opponent's chakra suction technique was still activated, he could see where he was. Deciding to blitz his opponent and gain an early victory, Sasuke charged in, using the move he had copied from Lee before the start of the exams, and finished the match off. Winner. Sasuke Uchiha. The Proctor said. Zaku Abumi vs Kiba in Yuzuka. Why don't you give up before humiliating yourself? Zaku taunted. Ah. As if. I am totally gonna beat your ass. Kiba exclaimed. Begin. The Proctor said. Fang over Fang. Kiba exclaimed and turned into a tornado, trying to blitz his opponent. Zaku raised his hands and released a blast of wind to turn Kiba off his target. Realizing that he had struck gold and his attack had landed straight on Kiba's head, he released one more strong wind blow to finish the match. As soon as he released his attack, a whirling tornado captured him from behind. So, the wind attack knocked Kiba out and Kiba's dog, Akamaru, knocked Zaku out. Seeing as both the participants are unconscious, this match is a double knockout and has no winner. The Proctor said. Miss Yumi Tsurugi vs Kankuro of the Sand. It was an easy win for Kankuro. Miss Yumi had some sort of flexibility powers, she had wrapped herself around Kankuro and threatened to kill him. But, it was a puppet and she ended up being poisoned. Ino Yamanaka vs Sakura Haruno. Ino had taken this easily enough. For some reason, at the beginning of the match, Sakura had deemed it fit to say that. The winner of this match shall become Sasuke-kun's love interest. I will show you. Yeah, she could not complete her sentence. Why? Because Ino had taken over her body mid-rant and made Sakura give up. It seemed like Sakura had not learned anything after the academy. Winner. Yamanaka Ino. Uzumaki Naruto vs Aburame Shino. Shino, apparently, was a bug user. He had tried to use his bugs to drain Naruto out of chakra by absorbing his chakra through his bugs. Well, it did work to an extent, but after some time, the bugs turned into stone and fell of his body. Naruto supposed he would have to learn more about his chakra. Realizing that most of his bugs were either out of commission or turned into stones, Shino had given up. Winner. Uzumaki Naruto. Tenten vs Temari was again a brutal defeat for Tenten. She had ended up on the flat of Temari's fan. Her spine was probably severely damaged. Shikamaru vs Kintsuchi was a battle of wits in which Shikamaru had proclaimed the victory over the Odo ninja. Hyuga Hinata vs Hyuga Niji seemed like a personal fight rather than a professional one. As brave as Hinata had been for standing up again and again, she had to be rescued by 4 Jonins, or she would have been dead. Gaara vs Rock Lee was again a very brutal fight. Lee had opened 5 of the 8 celestial gates to compensate for his lack of ninjutsu and jinjutsu. Regardless, half of his body had fallen prey to Gaara's sand. Dosu vs Akamichi Chouji was also a rather one-sided fight in Dosu's favor. Alright, so the candidates for the finals are Uchiha Sasuke, Kankuro of the Sand, Yamanaka Ino, Uzumaki Naruto, Temari of the Sand, Nara Shikamaru, Hyuga Niji, Gaara of the Sand and Dosu of the Hidden Sound. The Proctor said. All of you will draw a number now, which will decide your opponent for the finals. The finals will take place a month later. He concluded. Alright. The Hokage said. According to the numbers drawn by the participants, the matches, in sequence, are as follows. Uchiha Sasuke vs Hyuga Niji. Nara Shikamaru vs Temari of the Sand. Kankuro of the Sand vs Yamanaka Ino. Uzumaki Naruto vs Gaara of the Sand. According to the numbers drawn, Dosu of the Hidden Sound will get a pass in first round of the finals. He said. Now, you all can leave. Make sure to prepare well for the exams. The Hokage said and dispersed them. Well, this is truly a dilemma. Asuma said. I really did not think that the 3 of you would make it to the finals. Yeah, thanks for the vote of confidence. Ino huffed. Don't get me wrong, you are certainly very strong. Perhaps, the strongest team of your generation. But making it to the finals of the Chunin exams in your first attempt is quite an achievement. He replied. Team 10 was currently gathered at their allotted training ground, discussing their training schedule. Training the 3 of you together will be unfair to all of you, since you may end up fighting each other later in the exams. Asuma exclaimed. I will be off, training with my summons. So, you don't need to worry about me. Naruto said. Dad will be training me for the month in our clan techniques, so you don't need to worry about me too. Ino said. I see. Well, what about you, Shikamaru? Asuma questioned. Dad won't be training me, that's for sure. He is too busy with his duties as the Jonin commander. Shikamaru sighed out. Well, that's that I suppose. I will be overseeing your training for the month. He said. You two can, of course, come to me if you need anything at any time. Yes. Ino and Naruto chorused. Stone, you say? Fukaru asked. Yeah, they drained my chakra and turned into stone. What's up with that? Naruto questioned. As I told you before, the owls have never produced a sage. But, I believe that if someone is unable to balance Senjutsu chakra within their body, they turn into stone. Fukaru said. Well, speculations aside, I finally have a whole month to train and I want to master the sage mode. Naruto said. That's quite a goal you have. I have already taught you all I could, now it is up to you to master the powers within you. Fukaru said. Yeah. Naruto murmured. Walking towards the waterfall where he meditated, Naruto mused about what he knew about his opponent for the finals. Gaara of the Sand was a Jinchuriki, just like him. He could not be 100% sure, but his chakra just screamed Jinchuriki. Apart from that, he had complete control over sand and was a bit unnerving. Sitting under the waterfall, Naruto began to meditate in hopes of learning to understand his chakra better. Ah, hello there. It's been quite a while since you let me in here. Naruto said. Keep your greetings to yourself. I am only allowing you to sleep so that you may train more efficiently. Do not disappoint me. The Kyuubi growled. Not that I am ungrateful, but what changed your mind? Naruto questioned. Your heartfelt confession did, of course. I was pretty sure that if you were in here for a minute more, back then, you would have surely started to cry, like the pathetic excuse for a shinobi you are. The Kyuubi mocked. Ah, I am being respectful, am I not? Did your parents not teach you how to behave, or perhaps, you never had them? Naruto jabbed. You're one to crack parents' jokes, haha. I, at least, have met mine. Unlike you, born an orphan. The Kyuubi retorted. Ouch. Naruto winced. So, why allow me in here now? Naruto questioned, abandoning his playful front. Boredom is a whip that commands beings like me too. The Kyuubi said. I have training to do, you know. I can't go around entertaining you the whole day. Naruto said. Your body has grown quite well. The Kyuubi said, disregarding Naruto's previous statement. Sorry, but I am not into, well, foxes. Naruto said with a straight face. Your chakra system, I mean. It is developed enough to handle a full Bijuu transformation. Perhaps you can let me free in an empty area for a while and I will tell you about Senjutsu chakra. You need that information, do you not? The Kyuubi questioned. Sorry, no can do. I do not trust you enough to let you free, as you say. Naruto said. Your chakra is always brawling with mine. To use Senjutsu to its full potential, you will have to calm your chakra down. And, you will not be able to do that if I do not will my chakra to retreat. The Kyuubi said. Throw in the information of my parents and we have a deal. Naruto said. A deal it is, then. Yes, a completely isolated space where no one goes. Naruto said. There is, indeed, such a place here. But, why do you ask of such a place, young Naruto? Fukaru questioned. Oh, this and that, you know. Naruto said. Fine, I will not force you. But, don't do anything stupid. Fukaru said. A few kilometers down south, there is a large clearing where, due to abrupt efficiency of natural chakra, no owl goes. You can go there to do whatever you want to try. Fukaru said. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Naruto said and ran towards the instructed direction. So, how does this goes? Naruto questioned. That chain of yours, it absorbs chakra. Use it to drain the seal of its chakra. The Kyuubi instructed, pointing towards the seal. Doing what he was told to do, Naruto felt a flood of chakra filling his chakra system, and to compensate the sudden rush of chakra, nature chakra also entered his body to balance itself. Now, let me take over. The Kyuubi said. Fine. Naruto huffed. And suddenly, a layer of red chakra formed over Naruto and a cloak grew around his body. 9 Magatama marks adorned his back and his eyes had gone red with a slit for pupils. Then, large amounts of chakra gathered around his body and a holographic imitation of the Kyuubi surrounded his body. I did not know this would happen in the Jinchuriki Bijuu combination state. A deep voice thought aloud. The Kyuubi had thought that in the Bijuu state, he would revert back into his furry form, just like he had seen other transformations through the eyes of his previous Jinchuriki. But, this was not half bad. And he had a full day to enjoy. Whoa. What was that power? Naruto questioned, now back in control of his body. That was the full extent of my powers. A voice growled. What? Who is that? Naruto questioned, not seeing anyone around him. Meditate and come to your mindscape. The same voice said. Yeah, he could not joke around here anymore. Why? Because the cage that separated him from the Kyuubi was missing. Where did it go? Naruto questioned. You unlocked it, genius. Now, shut up and let me finish my part of the deal. The Kyuubi said. Fine, tell me. How should I master my Sage mode? Naruto questioned, excited to finally get his head off the puzzle. Balance. The Kyuubi said. You didn't just scam me, did you? Naruto questioned, irritated. You interrupt me once more and my nail will be through your stomach. The Kyuubi growled. What you have been doing is balancing, maintaining and enhancing the chakra that already exists in your body. As opposed to that, what you are supposed to do is balance, maintain and enhance the chakra that you absorb from the nature. So, first flood your chakra coils with nature chakra and then balance the nature chakra according to your own chakra, not the other way around. I see. Naruto said and looked up at the Kyuubi expectantly. What now? The Kyuubi growled, now irritated from his presence. You were going to tell me about my parents. Naruto said, childlike curiosity showing up for the first time. I suppose I did say that. The Kyuubi sighed out. I do not know much about them. Your mother's seal was way too tight to let me be aware of the things going on outside. I do know their names, though. Your mother was Uzumaki Kushina, my previous Jinchuriki, and your father, Namikaze Minato. The Kyuubi said. Kushina? Naruto questioned, trying the sound of the voice. It sounded good and warm. He hoped his mother loved him more than she did the village because his father, Namikaze Minato, clearly did not. So, what happened to her? Naruto questioned. And why should I answer that? The Kyuubi questioned. Our deal was information of my parents and not names of my parents, Naruto said. Perhaps. I killed her with this nail. The Kyuubi said, raising his paw and pointing the accused nail towards him. She liked to brag about how I was caged in the seal. But ultimately, she was a puny little thing in front of my wrath. He continued, trying to rile up Naruto. I see. Naruto sighed out. So, no angry outbursts? The Kyuubi asked, mockingly. Oh, believe me, I am angry. But there is no point of crying over someone I have never met. Naruto said and vanished from his mindscape. 2 days after the preliminaries. So, sensei. Where is he? I think it is about time I take over his training. A white-haired man asked. He was dressed rather uniquely. He had waist-length spiky white hair that he tied back into a ponytail, with 2 shoulder-length bangs framing his face. There were red lines under his eyes which extended further down his face, going all the way to the bottom. Jiraiya, it has been quite a while since you have shown your face around here. The third Hokage said. You know how it is, duty calls. You did not answer me, though. Now named Jiraiya said. Young Naruto is doing quite well for himself. He recently passed the preliminaries of the Chunin exams. But, I am afraid you will not be able to meet him. Hidan said. And, why is that? Jiraiya asked, narrowing his eyes. Of what I remember, he has gone to the plane of his summons to train for the month. He replied. Summons? He was supposed to be a toad summoner, just like his father. Why would you let him sign any other contract? Jiraiya questioned, raising his voice. Do not raise your voice in front of me, Jiraiya. Perhaps, if you wanted him to be a toad summoner, you should have been here to inform him of that. And, I did not offer him any contracts. He used the summoning jutsu without a contract and ended up becoming a summoner. Hidan said. You know I was busy outside the village. Jiraiya exclaimed. It has been 13 years, almost 14. Have you not thought of a better excuse? Hidan asked. Jiraiya did not see any worth in staying there any longer and disappeared in a poof of smoke. Even in the blazing heat from the sun, the crowd did not lack enthusiasm. Chunin exams were like festivals. Shinobi and civilian alike enjoyed watching the show that was presented. And, of course, today was no exception. The ground of Chunin exams was filled to the brim. Simply speaking, the vibes of excitement were overflowing. Uchiha Sasuke and Hyuga Neji, present yourselves in the stadium. The proctor said. Both the genin appeared in the stadium and a swirl of leaves. The red eyes indicating the Sharingan and the veins representing the Byakugan. A battle to see whose eyes were superior. Both the genin were given very auspicious titles. The prodigy of the Hyuga and the last loyal Uchiha meant a lot to the people of Konoha. The rules are the same as the preliminaries. Anything goes once the match starts. But, I have the power to intervene and stop the match as I see fit. Understand? The proctor asked. Yes. The both of them said. Alright then. Here we go again. He murmured. Welcome, the citizens and visitors alike. We, the people of Konoha, are honored to host the Chunin exams. I hope our accommodations were up to your liking. With that said, I do not wish to delay the event of the day anymore. So, shall we start? The proctor questioned and the crowd roared. Begin. He exclaimed and jumped back. Contrary to what the crowd believed, the participants did not just rush into the fight. It seemed like some verbal assaults were in order. I thought you will not show yourself. After all, you have a habit of hiding from tragedies, don't you? Niji said. You speak a lot for a slave, how about you go and serve your masters? Sasuke replied. At least I have a clan to speak of. Niji retorted. You think you are a part of the Hyuga? The only Hyuga are the main branch. You, my friend, are just a slave to be used and discarded. With that said, Sasuke jumped back to create some distance. Because, as confident as he was, even he would not challenge a Hyuga in a Taijutsu match. Higher style. Phoenix Flower Jutsu. He exclaimed. Niji rolled out from the trajectory of the attack and rushed Sasuke to engage in a Taijutsu fight. Stuck in midair, Sasuke had no option but to bend to the Taijutsu fight. As good as the Goken form which he had copied was, he was not a master at it. So, without any doubt, Sasuke got 2 of the Tenketsu points on his hand shut in the brief Taijutsu battle they had. Why is that sharp mouth of yours not running anymore? Niji asked. Higher style. Fireball Jutsu. Sasuke exclaimed. The fireball was not that big. But, it did not need to be, as it was only a distraction for the shuriken behind it. Niji dodged both of them. And, through his eyes, he saw the strings attached to the shuriken and was able to dodge the recalled shuriken too. These cheap tricks of yours will not work on me. These eyes of mine see beyond what you can imagine. Niji mocked. You throw big words around but you haven't actually hurt me yet. Sasuke replied with a smirk. Not yet, I have not. But, you are already within my field of divination. Niji said as he bent down and a yin-yang symbol formed around him. 8 trigrams. 2 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms. 16 palms. 32 palms. 64 palms. Niji exclaimed as he hailed a barrage of pokes on Sasuke. With as close as Sasuke was to Niji, he could not do anything but get hit by the annoying pokes. As his attack ended, Sasuke fell on the ground. Call the match, Proctor. He is not standing up again. Niji said, arrogantly. But, before he could say anything else, a dark purple chakra erupted from Sasuke's body and black markings started to cover his body. With 3 hand signs, lightning exploded from his hands. But, before he could move, a chop to the neck knocked him out. Ah, my apologies. It seems my student lost control. Please continue the event, I will tend to him. A white-haired jonin said. Due to external intervention, the winner is Hyuga Niji. The proctor said. After 5 minutes, we will start with our next match. Nara Shikamaru and Temari of the Sand, be prepared for your match. Contrary to the flashy entrance that Temari had presented by gliding down to the ground on her fan, Shikamaru was perfectly content in taking the stairs. You know of the rules, yes? The proctor asked. Yeah. Temari said and Shikamaru nodded his head. Well then, without any further ado, let's start. The proctor said and started the match. You will not fall asleep, will you? Temari questioned, looking at his sleepy face. Troublesome woman, why don't you start with the fight already? Shikamaru said and retreated to the safety of trees. Higher style. Fireball Jutsu. Shikamaru said and exhaled a ball of fire. It was not very big, but it did the work it was supposed to do. Yeah, I can't use any fire style jutsu. Shikamaru murmured to himself. Why? You ask. Because true to what he had suspected, Temari was primarily a wind user and wind was stronger against fire. Temari had opened her fan enough to show one of the moon on it. Wind style. Wind wave. She exclaimed and waved her fan in Shikamaru's direction. Earth style. Hiding like a mole jutsu. Shikamaru said and went into the ground. Feeling a pair of hands below her, Temari quickly opened her fan fully and flew off to avoid being plunged into the ground. Troublesome. Shikamaru murmured. From up in the air, Temari waved her fully open fan towards Shikamaru, creating a deadly gust of wind and launched it towards Shikamaru. Earth style. Mud wall. Shikamaru said, creating a wall of earth between the attack and himself. For a while, the same thing was happening. Temari would release a gust of wind and Shikamaru would either go underground or create a wall of earth to defend himself. But, once Temari looked tired, Shikamaru created a wall of earth behind her to create a large shadow over her. Missing accuracy, are we? Temari said, mocking his supposedly misplaced jutsu. Hardly. He scoffed. Shadow possession jutsu. He said. Since Temari was engulfed in a large shadow, she had nowhere to go and ended up stuck in his jutsu. Once she was under his control, he started moving backwards and, of course, Temari followed. But, the thing was, while there was nothing behind Shikamaru, there was a wall of earth behind Temari. Give up or I will bash your head in the wall. Shikamaru threatened. Fine. I give up. Temari said. Winner. Nara Shikamaru. Tenkuro of the Sand vs Yamanaka Ino. Begin. The proctor said. Water style. Water wave. Ino exclaimed, not wasting any time. Tenkuro flipped back to avoid getting hit and willed his puppet to shoot a barrage of senbon towards the kunoichi. Earth style. Earth wall. Ino raised a wall to prevent getting hit from the senbon. Just as the wall rose, a puppet smashed into it. The puppet did not smash the wall. But it managed to create a hole in the wall. Kankuro willed his puppet to throw a smoke bomb through the hole towards Ino. Quickly realizing that the smoke was poisonous, Ino held her breath and flipped backwards, away from the smoke. Taking advantage of the situation, Kankuro released a dozen kunai towards Ino. Water style. Water wave. Ino released a wave of water to deflect the kunai and released a few kunai of her own encounter. Kankuro got his puppet between the approaching kunai and himself to save himself, only to realize that they had an exploding tag attached to them. Boom. As the smoke cleared, Kankuro seemed fine, but the puppet was smashed into pieces. Quickly realizing that his puppet had been smashed, he tried to reach for another scroll to release another puppet, but before he could, a kunai appeared on his neck. "Surrender or you will never move again." Ino, who had sunshine behind him, said. "I give up." He said, accepting the defeat. "Winner. Yamanaka Ino." The proctor said. "The quality of your genins is still as good as ever, Hokage Dono." The Kazekage said. "Yours aren't bad either, Kazekage Dono." They fought valiantly. The Hokage replied. "Perhaps they did. But, ultimately, they lost. Regardless, the strongest that Tsuna has to offer is yet to fight." The Kazekage said. "Your youngest, is he not?" The Hokage questioned. "Indeed." The Kazekage answered. "Gaara of the Sand vs Uzumaki Naruto." The proctor said, prompting the aforementioned genin to enter into the stadium. Both the genin appeared in a swirl of sand and leaves, respectively. "You both know of the rules?" The proctor questioned. "Yes." The two said. "Well then. Begin." He said and flickered out of the stadium. "You know of me, do you not?" The redhead questioned. "I do, indeed. Since you are from Tsuna, I will take a wild guess and say it is Shukaku that resides in your seal." Naruto said. "Indeed. But, I am not aware of Konoha having any tailed beasts, which one is yours?" Gaara questioned. "It's the nine-tailed fox, Kyuubi." Naruto said. Gaara seemed like a really chill guy, perhaps the both of them could be fried. "Very well then, I suppose I will kill you now to enjoy your blood." Gaara said. "Yeah, no. No friendship for sure." But that said, Gaara released a bullet of sand towards Naruto. Naruto did not need to move, two chains formed from his chest and began rotating to split the sand bullet before it could touch him. Gaara did not know what to do. Usually, when he fought anyone, they tried to attack him so that his sand could rip them. But Naruto was just standing there with his hands folded just like him. Was he mocking him? "Yes, he is mocking us, let's kill him." A voice inside his mind said. "Why yes, mother." Gaara murmured. Willing his sand to take the form of hundreds of shuriken, Gaara initiated the attack. Standing there and letting his chains deflect the sandified shuriken, Naruto started to form hand signs to test the extent of Gaara's defense. "Wind style. Gale palm." He exclaimed, using his go-to jutsu to test his opponent's defense. Just as the concentrated wind reached Gaara, a blob of sand rose up and defended its master. So, the defense was sturdy and fast. Well, it really did not matter. Finally moving to dodge another barrage of sand shuriken, Naruto rushed towards Gaara. Seeing this, Gaara willed a sand clone into existence to prevent Naruto from reaching him. Unlike how Gaara had foreseen things to go, the clone got speed blitzed by Naruto and Gaara got punched straight into his face. Just when Naruto thought that he had drawn first blood, he saw sand falling off of his opponent's face. "Some sort of armor." He murmured to himself. Don't worry mother. We will get his blood." Gaara said, now sounding psychotic. He caged himself in a cocoon of sand and left an eye made of sand to scout things for him. Taking cautious steps, Naruto headed towards the sand cocoon and tried to punch it. But before he could, spikes started to grow from the sand. Realizing that this was an opportunity to be creative, Naruto willed 3 chakra chains to wrap around his arm and extend beyond his fingers. The sharp tips of the chains met at one point to create a drill-like formation and started rotating. Testing his balance with his newly invented attack, he ran towards the sand cocoon. Dodging several sand spikes, he finally reached the cocoon and repped it with his drill. Now exposed, Gaara had transformed into some sort of half-raccoon. Half of his face and one of his hand was made of sand and he had grown a sand-made tail. Now, hardly in control of his movement, Gaara rushed at Naruto, relying solely on his instincts. Flipping backwards, Naruto analyzed his situation. If the match had to be stopped, it would have been stopped by now. So, apparently, what Gaara was doing was legal. He supposed he will, too, have to take it up a notch. Actively absorbing the nature chakra, Naruto tapped into his partial sage transformation. His eyelines grew bolder, his eyes shined brighter, and his chains turned into a darker shade of purple. Launching himself towards Gaara, he wrapped his chain around Gaara's transformed hand and started absorbing chakra through it. True to what he had thought, the sand on Gaara's hand fell down, and in the movement of confusion, Naruto punched Gaara straight on his face very hard. The Hokage said as an Anbu appeared in front of him. Begin with Protocol 5. He commanded, and the Anbu formed hand signs to inform others. The Anbus all around the stadium started dispelling the Jinjutsu that was just beginning to take its toll. So, Orochimaru, will you surrender or do you want to settle this with a fight? The Hokage questioned. You knew all along, didn't you, sensei? The Kazekage questioned. I have a spy for a student, what else did you expect? The Hokage retorted. Very clever. But, it is very bold of you to assume that you can beat me alone. The Kazekage said. Whoever told you that I will be fighting you alone? Just as the Hokage said that, Jiraiya grew out from the floor below. Naruto had knocked out Gaara, that had to be the end of it, right? No. Apparently, knocking him out results in the sand spirit taking over, and well, here he was. He was sure he could take the Shukaku out with minimal damage, but for that, he had to tap into the mastered sage mode, but to tap into it, he needed to stay still for a while. Well, he supposed he only had one option left. Sage arts. Summoning jutsu. He shouted, pouring a shit ton of chakra in it. A large poof of smoke happened, and an equally large owl came out from it. The owl tilted its head curiously. I am sorry, there is no time for pleasantries. Please lead Shukaku towards an isolated area while I prepare to tap into the sage mode. Naruto said. As you command, master. It shall be done. The owl said. With that said, it flew towards the sand beast and began to poke it around. Sitting down and meditating, a bright purple glow began to surround him. His eyeshadows began to constrict themselves. Once the transformation was completed, there was a bright purple aura surrounding Naruto, and his eyeshadows had reverted back to their normal state. I cannot hold this for a long time. Naruto told himself and rushed towards the sand monster. You may leave, I will take it from here. Naruto told to his summon. Please summon me again if you need me, master. The owl replied and dispelled itself. Sage art. Vacuum bullet. Naruto said and released wind bullet towards Shukaku and gaining its attention. Forming the drill he had just invented, he launched towards the tailed beast and hit it square in the chest. For a moment it seemed that its chest had been blown away, but it regenerated just as fast. And this is what kept happening for a while. Naruto was trying to find anything that he could exploit, but the damned beast just kept regenerating and throwing around gigantic wind bullets. Roaming his eyes around to spot a weakness, he spotted a red head at the top of Shukaku. Ah, if there is no Jinchuriki, there will be no tailed beast. Naruto decided. Now aware of the weak spot, Naruto summoned his chakra chains and willed them to wrap around the hand of Shukaku for extra balance and started running towards the top. Apparently realizing Naruto's intentions, Shukaku started to thrash around, trying to get Naruto off of him. But, since Naruto had his chains wrapped around his arm, he didn't budge. Reaching at the top, Naruto pulled his kunai out. Nuo. Shukaku growled as Naruto separated Gaara's head from his body. A large mass of chakra exploded towards the sky. And there was no sign of the one-tailed beast anymore. What is he? Sasuke questioned. Sasuke, Sakura, Ino and Shikamaru had just defeated Temari and Kankuro and had come to provide backup to Naruto, but it seemed like he didn't need any. That's Naruto for you. Ino said. Now that he was off his adrenaline boost, Naruto sensed a unique thing. Another Senjutsu user. As opposed to just today morning, the mood of the village had grown sour. Konoha did not face much losses, but there were a few casualties. Regardless, the seed of hatred was sown deep into the people of Konoha. Naruto was currently in the Hokage office with the head of Gaara. The Hokage looked beaten up, his black body armor was hanging on a shelf, bathed in red. But, Naruto's focus was not on him. His focus was on the white-haired man who had two toads popping out of either of his shoulders. As the toads dispelled, the thickened red lines on his face started to recede, just like his purple markings were receding. You're a sage? Naruto questioned. Why of course I am. I am the one and only great toad sage of Mount Myoboku. Jiraiya said, forming an obnoxious pose. What a retard. Naruto murmured to himself. So, Naruto, is that the head of the Jinchuriki? The third questioned. Yes, Hokage-sama. Naruto replied. I heard that he had transformed into Shukaku, how did you manage to defeat him? He asked again. I had to tap into my sage mode to even stand a chance. Naruto replied, not seeing any benefit in lying. Sage mode? Jiraiya and Hidan questioned. Yes. Naruto replied. And for a second, silence reigned. The Hokage and Hidan thinking that Naruto would further explain and Naruto thinking that he had said enough. And just where did you learn of the sage mode? Jiraiya questioned, breaking the silence. Why should I tell you anything? Naruto countered. I am the most trusted confidant of the Hokage. Jiraiya replied. Naruto looked towards the Hokage and when he nodded, Naruto started. Apparently, my chakra system is pre-exposed to sage chakra. These eye markings are actually a representation of my unconscious sage mode. Naruto said, pointing towards his eyes. Is that so? Perhaps, I can teach you how to master your sage mode. Jiraiya said. You haven't mastered the sage mode yourself, what will you teach me? Actually, I am a better sage than you. Naruto said, brushing Jiraiya's offer off. As if. Jiraiya scoffed, trying to rile up Naruto so that he would show him his sage mode without Jiraiya having to ask. Naruto ignored him and turned to the Hokage. Why was I called here, Hokage-sama? Keeping that aside, why did you not inform me of your senjutsu prowess? Hiruzen asked. It was pretty clear that you did not appreciate meeting me. So, I never bothered showing up without any reason. Naruto said. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed at this. Whatever made you think that? Hiruzen questioned. I am a censor, I can feel your feelings, if that makes sense. Naruto said. It indeed does, it is a known trait of previous Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Regardless, I hope you understand that my hatred is for the Kyuubi. Hiruzen said. I really don't care. You are just another one to me, Hokage-sama. Naruto replied. I see. Please leave that head here. Since he had a bounty, the money will be sent to you. Thank you for your service to the village. Hiruzen said, sighing. Of course, it was an honor. Naruto said and sunshined away. What was that about, sensei? Had you not promised Kushina that you will take care of him? Jiraiya said, scowling. Scowl at me all you want, Jiraiya. But, I lost my wife to the Kyuubi attack, can you blame me for not getting over it? Hiruzen said. Oh, so you can let Orochimaru run away and give him another chance, but cannot give him a single chance. Jiraiya said, deceptively calm. Don't compare those situations, Jiraiya. Hiruzen said. Of course, there is no comparison. What a crime Naruto did by becoming the Jinchuriki to save the village and losing his parents. How can a crime of this caliber be compared to the measly human experiments that Orochimaru did? Right. What was that, Naruto? Ino exclaimed. What was what? Naruto questioned. That purple chakra thingy you did. That was awesome. Can you teach it to me? Purple is awesome, you know. Ino said, overenthusiastic. No Ino. It is not something that can be taught. Naruto said. Yeah, of course it can't be taught. Ino said, pouting. Why can't you stay quiet for a while? Shikamaru murmured. Team 10 was currently at the training ground 10. Shikamaru was laying down, Naruto was eating an apple, and Ino was, as always, gossiping. Asuma had called them there 2 hours ago, but he wasn't here yet. They hoped he was not spending a lot of time with the sensei of Team 7. Before any bickering could start, Asuma appeared in a swirl of leaves. What's up? He said casually, pretending he was not 2 hours late. Team 10, synonymously deciding that their sensei could be forgiven for once, decided to push for why they were called there. So, why did you call us here? Ino questioned. Well, I just wanted to congratulate you on the performance you put forward during the Chunin exams. Though the things did not go as planned with the invasion and all, it is still possible that summer all of you may be promoted to Chunin. Asuma said. Well, we can still work as a team, right? Ino questioned. Of course we can. Asuma replied. Ding. This was the first time someone had ringed his bell. Sure, after the rumors about his fight with the Shukaku had gotten out, the harsh glances had reduced to almost negligible, but the fact remained that no one had ringed his bell till now. He supposed it was more to do with where he lived. His teammates' parents would not allow them to roam in the red light area, and a famous name like Asuma Sarutobi would not be caught dead in such an area. Humming. Naruto shouted, moving towards the door. Yes? Naruto questioned. It was the same guy he had met in the Hokage office. So, did you think about my generous offer? Jiraiya questioned. Did I not tell you that you have nothing to teach me? Naruto replied. Maybe not senjutsu, but I have plenty things to pass down. If you don't know, I was the 4th Hokage's teacher too. Jiraiya said with an obnoxious grin. Father-sensei? Naruto questioned. So you know about that, who told it to you? Jiraiya questioned, his grin falling. As I said, I don't need to tell you anything. Naruto replied. This is a S-rank secret we are talking about. Jiraiya said. Just like the S-rank secret of me being a Jinchuriki. Naruto countered. Listen, Naruto, I thought you were well taken care of. Jiraiya said. And why exactly do you care? Naruto asked. As I said, I was your fath dot. I really do not care what you were to him. Naruto cut Jiraiya off. Well, regardless. You and I have an A-rank mission to take. Jiraiya said, changing the topic. What exactly is the mission? Naruto questioned. We have to retrieve the next Hokage. Jiraiya said, grin returning full force. Genin can't take A-rank missions. Naruto countered. Whoever said you are a Genin? Jiraiya said, summoning a vest and handing it to Naruto. Naruto just raised his eyebrows. The Chunin ceremony is yet to be conducted, but due to our special circumstances, you are given some leeway. Jiraiya said. I see. Naruto said, taking the vest and shutting the door in his face. Yeah, the vest looked ugly over his kimono. Perhaps, it was time for a wardrobe change. Maybe something subtle. Eh? He was not asked to leave the clothes shop. That was new. Oh, the owner was not scowling at him too, that was definitely new. So, what are you looking for? The shopkeeper asked. Yeah, he was definitely dreaming. Hello? Are you there? The shopkeeper asked. Oh, yeah, sorry. I was looking for the standard shinobi outfit. Naruto said. Now dressed in a blue standard Konoha uniform and his Chunin flak jacket over it, Naruto looked more shinobi-like than ever. He was currently waiting for Jiraiya at the gates of Konoha. The standard shinobi uniform was oddly comfortable, the material was not hard, but it was sturdy. Unlike his kimono which provided no protection whatsoever, the flak jacket could actually repel a kunai. Ah, here on time. I see. A voice came from behind him. Unlike you, yes. Naruto replied. Hey, lighten up a bit. This will be a long mission, we do not need to hurry. Jiraiya said. Would you tell me, who exactly are we trying to find? Naruto questioned. The next Hokage. I know that, I am asking for their name. Naruto said, cutting off Jiraiya. Stop cutting me off, brat. Jiraiya exclaimed. Will you answer me? Naruto sighed out. It was going to be a tough mission with this childish old man. Tsunade Senju, of course. Jiraiya said. Huh? Is Konoha short on Hokage candidates? Naruto questioned. Why do you say that? Jiraiya countered. She has not been into the village for almost 20 years now. She is as good as a rogue. He said. Well, it is not like your thoughts, or mine in fact, has any weight. We are doing what we are asked to. Jiraiya said. Ordered to. Naruto corrected. Yeah, ordered to. Regardless, she will be the perfect Hokage. Jiraiya said. And why do you say so? Naruto questioned. She is the granddaughter of the first and grandniece of the second. Jiraiya explained. So? I was not aware that the position of the Hokage was hereditary. Naruto said. Yeah, brats your age usually shut up after hearing of her heritage, I have not prepared the speech any further. Jiraiya half sighed. So, do you want to learn a technique? Jiraiya asked. What type of technique? Naruto questioned. Jiraiya just raised his hand as a blue sphere of chakra formed in his hands. This is the Rasengan, it drills into whatever it touches. Jiraiya said. I actually have a similar technique, I created it during my fight with Gaara. Naruto said, forming his chain drill. Well, just from the first glance, Rasengan is already a superior technique. Jiraiya said. How so? Naruto questioned. It is instantaneous, easy to hold on to, and can be released in a second. He said, the Rasengan vanishing. Fine then, teach me. Naruto said. Now we are talking. Jiraiya said, summoning an air balloon and handing it to Naruto. You have to burst this balloon with your chakra alone. He said. Don't worry if you cannot do it right away, it took me an upwards of 3 months to master the first step too. Jiraiya said. Hop. It was all about power. Then I suppose next step will be about direction. Naruto questioned, throwing away the busted balloon. Hey, how did you do that? Jiraiya asked, indignant. Do you think my Jinchuriki's chakra lacks the density to pop a balloon? Naruto questioned. Yeah, smart ass kids. Here, take this one. Jiraiya said, passing him a water balloon. Yeah, why don't you go to the hotel, Naruto? I will guide this lovely lady around. Jiraiya said, leering at the woman who had approached them. You will guide a local in her own village. So, you are as retarded as you are perverted. Naruto said. Well, whatever, do what you like. He finished and headed towards the hotel, using his chain to snatch out Jiraiya's wallet. What? He was not gonna spend his own money on this. Currently, Naruto was at the third step of the Rasengan. He had completed the second step in a few hours, but it had taken Jiraiya a week to find the rubber balloon. So, sitting alone in the room was the only time he could practice. He was already tired of Jiraiya's constant bickering. Ding. Sensing the visitor's chakra, he could tell that none of them was Jiraiya. Calling a bird from his window, he asked it to get Jiraiya there somehow. Walking towards the door, he suppressed his chains that were popping out due to the vicious chakra of one of the men. Opening the door, there were 2 men in front of him. They had distinct defining features. One of them was shorter and had stress lines on his face. The other one was, well, huge and blue. The pair of them were wearing a black cloak with red clouds on it. What do you want? Naruto questioned. We want you. The shorter one replied. I am not into men. Naruto said and shut the door on their faces. He did not have much time to dodge the sword that broke through the door, but he was successful nonetheless. As I said, you will be coming with us whether you like it or not. The shorter one said again. And why would you need me, you weird old man? Naruto questioned again. We need the beast inside of you. The taller one said. And, I will have you know, I am only 18. The shorter one said. Sorry, no can do. He is attached to me. Naruto replied, and a dozen chakra chains erupted towards them. Staying true to their S-rank title, the 2 of them were able to dodge the chains easily enough, only to realize that they were not the actual target. The chains had attached to the door behind them, using the door and chains as a catapult, he launched himself towards the corridor. The sparrow had landed on the lady's shoulder and poked into her neck, enough to draw blood. The feeling of pain, in turn, released her of the genjutsu she was in. As soon as Jiraiya realized what was going on, he sunshined towards their hotel. Toadmouth jutsu. A voice came out as soon as the duo came to the corridor, and the whole area transformed into inners of a toad. Jiraiya of the legendary 3. The shorter one said, his eyes turning red. Itachi Uchiha. Jiraiya said. Looking dead into his eyes. We cannot take him, kiss him, run. The now named Itachi Uchiha said. Fine. Kiss him huffed. I am sorry for bursting your pretty little bubble. Jiraiya said. But, you are not getting out of here. He concluded. Heedless of his warning, Itachi and Kisum ran towards a dead end. Just when it seemed like they will have to stop, black flames erupted from Itachi's eyes and created a hole for them to jump off of. Flame sealing. Kai. Jiraiya said, sealing the black flames for further research. So, who were they? Naruto questioned. The Akatsuki. Jiraiya said. As far as I know, they are an organization of S-rank rogue ninja who freelance. But recently they have shown a major interest in the tailed beasts. He explained. Wow, great. Now I have this to deal with too. Naruto sighed out. Hey, don't worry. You have plenty time to prepare. Jiraiya said. Yeah, sure. Naruto murmured. This surely seems like Tsunade's doing. Jiraiya said. Naruto and Jiraiya were currently at a restricted site where the temple had fallen from an earthquake. Jiraiya was looking for any clue that would lead them to Tsunade, while Naruto was maintaining a purple ball of chakra in his hand. Nothing. She probably sunshined away from here. Jiraiya said. And you trace her chakra signature in your sage mode? Naruto questioned. I could if there was any chakra to trace. Her chakra control is so impeccable that she wastes not a single drop of chakra while using any jutsu. Jiraiya replied. Fine then, do you have a photo of her? Naruto questioned. Yes, I actually do. Jiraiya said, summoning a photo of Tsunade and him in a bar. Calling all the nearby birds towards him, he asked them to find the lady in the village. Let's go, we will know of her location in a while. Naruto said, prompting Jiraiya to head towards their new hotel. What was that? Jiraiya questioned. My information network. Well, sort of. Naruto said. I can talk to birds. He finished. That's quite a skill you have. Jiraiya said. While walking towards their hotel, a bird came to sit on Naruto's shoulder. Found her. Naruto said. Heading towards the direction they were informed of, Naruto took in the side of the village. Unlike Konoha, the village was not full of trees. Its infrastructure was really good. It had a lot of bars, though. Too much alcohol for his taste. Well, it was not like he had had alcohol before. Why was the bird on his shoulder looking towards a bar? Ouch. Naruto said. Why? Because the bird had poked him when they went past a bar. There? Naruto questioned. The bird chirped. There. Naruto told Jiraiya, pointing towards a bar. Seems like a place she would be at, yes. Jiraiya said, heading towards the accused bar. As soon as the smell of the bar reached his nose, Naruto's nose wrinkled. He already did not like being here. But, he supposed he would have to get used to it. Tsunade. Jiraiya exclaimed. Jiraiya? Tsunade questioned, her eyes squinted, trying to make sure that he is who she thinks he is. Hi as always. Jiraiya sighed out. You can leave if you are here to rant about my drinking habits. Tsunade said, sitting comfortably. Of course not, I come here as an official of Konoha. Jiraiya replied. Tsunade rose her eyebrow while using her chakra to drain down her tipsiness caused by the alcohol she was consuming. And, what message do you have? She asked. You know of the invasion, yes? Jiraiya asked. The Orochimaru fiasco? She questioned. Even Iwa knows of that and they are on the other side of the map. She scoffed. So you do. The Hokage has asked you to come back to the village. He wants you to become the next Hokage, Jiraiya said. You know how it is, Jiraiya. I am not coming back. She said. Come on, Tsunade. You are just wasting your life away. There are people in the village that need your help. Jiraiya said, trying to convince her. Don't tell me what I need to do, Jiraiya. I have done enough for the village, I am not going back. She said. While this conversation was going on, Naruto was eyeing the pig across him. Who, in turn, was eyeing Naruto. Oink. It said, looking indignant. Cannot understand you, sorry bud. Naruto replied. He really wished he could understand other animals too. Oink. The pig said, its tone questioning. Huh? Naruto questioned. Apparently losing interest in the conversation, the pig popped out of its owner's hands, jumped into Naruto's arms and got comfortable in there. Now realizing that, no, the pig was not floating and was in the hands of someone, he looked up to meet the curious black eyes of an equally black-haired woman. Sorry. I get intrigued by animals. And, well, there are not many pigs in Konoha. Naruto said, embarrassed. Sorry about Taunton. She seems to like you. And it is quite alright. The lady said and offered her hand for a handshake. My name is Shizune and this is Taunton. She said. Naruto too offered the similar courtesy and shook her hand. I am Uzumaki Naruto. And, I don't really mind her being here, he said, looking at the comfortably sleeping pig. Realizing how childish they were acting compared to the actual children around them, they both stopped their bickering. So, who is the brat? Tsunade asked. He is Naruto Uzumaki, my new student. Jiraiya said. I am not your student. Naruto said. I am here just for the mission. He concluded. Uzumaki, huh? Tsunade asked. Yes, Uzumaki. Naruto said, now interested in the conversation. This was the first time that someone was interested in his surname. Well, whatever. She said, brushing him off. If that is all you came for, you can now leave. She continued, looking towards Jiraiya. Ah, about that. This is my first official A rank mission, and I am not very keen on failing it. So, you will have to at least report to the Hokage. I don't really care about the other stuff. Naruto said, butting in the conversation. I did not know the village was handing high-ranked missions to green brats. Tsunade scoffed. Perhaps your age has caught up to your eyesight, can you not see my Chunin vest? Naruto counter-scoffed. What did you just say? Tsunade hissed. Ah, so you have hearing issues too. Naruto said, are you sure she is to be the next Hokage? She seems like a hag to me. He asked Jiraiya. Oh yeah? You want to throw some hands, little brat? Let's have a little spar, if you win, I will go back to the village. Tsunade spat out. Imagine challenging someone 100 years younger than you to a fight. Naruto retorted. Well, it's a mission, so bring it on. He said. Tsunade's eyes twitched. But, she refrained from attacking. She was gonna teach him a lesson soon enough anyways. The jutsu only? Isn't that like your specialty? Are you so scared that you will limit me to your specialty? Naruto mock questioned. You speak a lot for a little brat. Fine, use whatever you want to. I will not need anything more than a finger to defeat you. Tsunade said. Is that the bet? If I beat you while you are only using a finger, I win, right? Naruto asked. Yes. Tsunade scoffed. If I win, you come back to the village, and if I lose? Naruto questioned. Then, you give up on being a shinobi. Tsunade said. Acceptable. Naruto said, without any hesitation. The only way she could ensure he would not be a shinobi was by becoming the Hokage. And, banning the Jinchuriki to be a shinobi is just the epitome of stupidity. And well, if push came to shove, he could just go rogue. Hearing that, Tsunade went straight to offense. Charging her finger with chakra, she thrusted it on Naruto, only for him to disappear in the sunshine. Following his movements, Tsunade turned to block a chakra chain with her finger. The chakra chains? Tsunade questioned to herself. She had last seen those coming from the back of Kushina and her grandmother, Mito. Blind style. Gale palm. Naruto said, releasing a gust of wind towards her. She dodged them easily enough. But, when she tried to speak to mock him, a pair of chains erupted from the ground and shoved her into the ground. Earth style. Hiding like a mole jutsu. Naruto said, smirking. Seeing the opportunity to win, Naruto formed a purple ball of chakra in his hands and started to walk towards the now undergrounded Tsunade. Will you give up now? Naruto questioned. Tsunade disappeared in a poof of smoke and was replaced by a piece of wood. This brought a smirk to Naruto's face. Why are you smirking? You realize I broke out of your technique, right? Tsunade questioned, now behind him. I know, but you used the substitution jutsu. Which is an ninjutsu. And, as I remember, you were limited to taijutsu only. So, I win. Naruto declared. Realizing her mistake, she scowled. Well, whatever, she did not need to keep her promise anyways. I hope the granddaughter of the Shaddai has enough honor left to keep her promise, or maybe you really are neck deep into gambling that you have entered the territory of road bandits and the like. Naruto said, trying to make Tsunade keep her promise. I am not leaving this village for at least a week, there is a gamble contest going on. Maybe I will come with you then, or maybe I won't. Tsunade said and disappeared. Yeah, Jiraiya had been stupid enough to get drugged by Tsunade. And Tsunade had gone to sign a deal with the devil, Orochimaru, himself. Do you think an injection of Sage Chakra will quicken your recovery? Naruto questioned. It sure will, but I cannot summon Ma and Pa Toad as things are. Jiraiya sighed out. Concentrating a bit, Naruto's eye lines thickened as he tapped into his partial Sage mode. Moving towards Jiraiya, a chain erupted from his back and wrapped around Jiraiya's wrist and started injecting nature chakra into Jiraiya. Feeling the nature chakra entering his system, Jiraiya started to balance it and felt the poisoning washing away. Now somewhat healed and realizing that he will need his Sage mode to fight Orochimaru, he started the hand signs to summon the Toad couple to tap into the Sage mode. At the same time, Naruto sat down in the room and started to meditate. As a purple shimmer of chakra surrounded him, he started sensing Tsunade and clearing a bit away from the village. While all this was going on, Shizune was standing there, just standing and gaping. Well, her and Taunton. I can sense her. Naruto said. A perfect sage? Shima questioned. Later about that. Jiraiya said to the toad on his shoulder. Lead the way. He said, looking towards Naruto. And, the three of them, with Taunton, leaped out of the window. Tsunade thought she could take on Orochimaru without drawing any blood. Oh, how naive she was. Now, she had blood splattered all over her face, and her body was not responding. That Kabuto guy was coming towards her, slowly, smirking, feeling proud of himself. He had a chakra scalpel in his hands. She was going to die, wasn't she? Is this all her life had come down to? Was she really just wasting her life away? Did it really matter now? Yeah, his hand was raised, she was surely going to die. Rasengan. A sharp voice came, a purple blur tackling into Kabuto. And then, there was blood. This was the first time Naruto had used the Rasengan on a person. And with the Sage mode enhancing it, it was ever so deadly. His Rasengan was currently drilling into Kabuto's stomach. He was surely dead. I cannot maintain this state for a very long time, I will finish this guy off, you engage the other one till then. Naruto said to Jiraiya. Yeah, sure. But be careful, that guy has some crazy healing powers. Jiraiya replied. With that said, Jiraiya blitzed towards Orochimaru. Ah, Naruto-kun. I was not expecting you here. Kabuto said. The guy had healed from his injuries during the brief conversation that Jiraiya and Naruto had. But, he was visibly depleted of chakra and was panting harshly. Well, surprise, I suppose. Naruto said. Since, you know, I don't have much time to spare, I am gonna kill you now. He concluded and rushed towards Kabuto. Already depleted of chakra, Kabuto could do nothing but take the vicious beating he was handed. Being thrown back from a punch gave him enough time to prepare a chakra scalpel before his next, inevitable Taijutsu battle. As he had thought, Naruto rushed towards him. And again, as he had expected, he was not fast enough to counter the purple blur. Taking a punch to his stomach, he could do nothing but wait for the next Rasengan to kill him off. And of course, Naruto did not hesitate in obliging him. Ah, Jiraiya. I was not expecting to see you so soon again. Aren't you being a bit too cocky with confronting me alone and all? Orochimaru mocked. For someone hiding behind dead bodies, you consider yourself a bit too brave. Jiraiya countered. It is just another jutsu, Jiraiya. Just like your sage mode. Orochimaru said. Well, whatever. Shall we get to it? Or are you planning to run away like before? Jiraiya said. Neglecting to answer, thousands of snakes launched themselves from Orochimaru's sleeve towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya jumped back and created an earth wall to defend himself. Climbing onto his created wall, he released a flame bullet towards Orochimaru. Creating a similar wall like that of Jiraiya, Orochimaru defended himself. Summoning jutsu. Orochimaru shouted, creating a huge poof of smoke, and from the smoke came forward an equally huge snake. Orochimaru, why have you summoned me? You are yet to provide me with my meals for the previous summoning. The large snake questioned. Now, Manda. Everything shall come with time. I require your assistance. Perhaps, you will be happy to kill the toad that is to come. Orochimaru said. And, true to what he had said, a large toad appeared in a poof of smoke. Hello, Bunta, I need your help. Jiraiya said. Ma, Pa, you can dispel yourselves. I won't need the sage mode now. Fine. They chorused and disappeared in a poof of smoke. True to their stature, the battle that came next was majestic. There were large combination jutsus, craters and barrage of attacks. Combination-style toad oil bullet. Jiraiya exclaimed, as the toad released a large glob of oil which was lit by Jiraiya to create a deadly fire. Its target, the large snake, burnt in agony and dispelled itself after a while. Roaming his eyes to look for any advantages, his eyes felt on the red-haired boy from whom a purple glow was receding, and next to him, Kabuto lay dead. What a loss it was losing his most useful subordinate to such a brat. Deciding that he was not worth keeping alive, even at the cost of the wrath of Akatsuki, he blitzed towards the boy with Kusanagi peeking from his mouth. Tired from using his sage mode for such a long time and caught off guard from unseen speed, his chains were only able to stop the sword from getting right through him. Nonetheless, the sword made contact and the blood splattered, and that was enough for the poison of the blade to take its toll. Tsunade was not sure what was going on. First, she was going to die. And then, a purple blur had protected her. The purple blur turned out to be the Uzumaki brat. He had actually defeated Kabuto. She did not know why, but she felt proud of him. And just when she was sure she could gather enough courage to move and heal the little brat, his teammate's sword, the infamous Kusanagi, managed to cut him. Rasengan. Jiraiya shouted, trying to kill Orochimaru. But, he dissolved into mud and was not seen again. As soon as Shizune realized what was happening, she ran towards Naruto to help him. Till now, she had separated the poison, but his natural healing was so fast that the wound was not staying open. Seeing Shizune run towards Naruto, a bolt of anxiousness ran over her. Suddenly gaining control of her body, she scrambled towards him. Activating her chakra scalpel on her one hand and moving Shizune aside from the other, she started working on separating the poison with unrivaled skills. Naruto woke up after a wonderful sleep. When he saw the sword stabbing into him, he was not expecting to wake up. But, here he was, waking up after the best sleep he had had. It was cold, but there was a strange warmness over his chest. Trying to wake up to check what was going on, he was gently put back in the sleeping position. Opening his eyes to look at what was going on, he was attacked with the harsh rays of the sun. Squinting his eyes to adjust to the light, he saw a green glow over his chest. I was not expecting you to wake up this soon. Well, for a while, I wasn't expecting you to wake up at all. A voice said. Who are you? Naruto questioned, still unable to focus due to the harsh light. Realizing the cause of his agony, the owner of the voice moved towards the window and closed the curtains. Ah, have you forgotten me already? That's quite rude of you. The voice, identifiable as a she, said. Tsunade. Naruto questioned, now able to see somewhat clearly. That's Tsunade-sama to you, brat. She said. And why is that? Naruto questioned. I am one of the legendary Sannin. She said. Don't care. Naruto replied and proceeded to wake up. Nah. You are not waking up this soon. The poison of the Kusanagi is no ordinary poison, it has only started to be subdued now, if you move, it will start spreading again. So, you are here for the long game. Tsunade said. Boy, Kyuubi. Naruto said, inside his mind. No reply came. Come on, this is not the time to sleep. An eye opened. Come on, can you heal me up? The eye closed. Hey, come on, don't ignore me. I am not breaking out of your stomach, that is enough help from my side. The Kyuubi said, eyes still closed. Don't be like that. I opened up the seal, didn't I? You can heal me for once, come on. Naruto said, he really did not want to waste his time just lying down. You did not know the seal will disappear, it was just your eager curiosity that led you in making poor decisions. The Kyuubi said, raising his paws. This is only a one-time thing, do not count on me again. He said, his nail touching the head of Naruto. As soon as the nail made contact, wild, red chakra covered Naruto for a second, and all the poison was washed out. As the red chakra shrouded Naruto, Jiraiya appeared in a flicker, Tsunade leaped back, and Shizune took a step back. When they saw it disappear after a second, they were confused. What was that? Jiraiya questioned. The fox owed me one, so he healed me for once. Naruto replied. You talked to it? Jiraiya questioned, shocked. What else did you expect? He has been inside me for almost 14 years now. Do you know why you have been called here? The Hokage asked. Nope. Ino said. Probably for the Chunin Promotions. Shikamaru said. Currently, the badge of shinobi teams dubbed as the Konoha 12 by the populace of Konoha were standing in front of the Hokage. Except for Naruto, of course. Indeed. The Hokage said, releasing a puff of smoke. I will get on to it then. He concluded. Hyuga Niji, as well as you did in the exams, it is quite evident that you don't have the discipline necessary for becoming a Chunin. He said. Understood. Niji said. Uchiha Sasuke, you too, lack the mindset to be considered a Chunin. He said. Understood. Sasuke said. Nara Shikamaru, you showed the ability to think on the run and powers to back up your plans. Hence, it is a pleasure for me to promote you to the rank of Chunin. He said, handing Shikamaru the Chunin vest. It is an honor, Hokage-sama. Shikamaru said. Yamanaka Ino, you too, showed the capacity to think out of the box and work well under pressure. Hence, again, it is a pleasure for me to promote you to the rank of Chunin. He said, handing Ino the Chunin vest. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Ino said. Hokage-sama, a question, if you do not mind. Ino asked. Ask away. He said. Where is Naruto? Why was he not called here? Ino questioned. Since he was specifically requested for a long-term mission, he was promoted before the Chunin ceremony. He is currently completing that mission. Hiruzen said. A solo mission? Shikamaru questioned. No, he is with one of my students, Jiraiya. Hiruzen said. Jiraiya of the Legendary 3? Ino questioned, shocked. That one, yes. Hiruzen said. Returning to Konoha was an uneventful journey. They had taken a straight route towards Konoha through several forests. Taunton was unwilling to leave Naruto's arms, oinking harshly whenever Tsunade or Shizune tried to take her away from Naruto. Well, apart from that everything was uneventful. The gates of Konoha, now visible, made Tsunade nervous. She had not been into the village for a long while. She did not know what to feel. Your names and reason to visit? The gate guard asked, without looking up. Uzumaki Naruto and Jiraiya, returning from a retrieval mission. Naruto said. Ah, Jiraiya-sama, sorry about that, I was not looking. The gate guard said. It's quite alright. Can we go? Jiraiya questioned. Yes, of course. He replied. Uzumaki, Naruto and Jiraiya, returning from the retrieval mission, Hokage-sama. Naruto said. Be at ease. So you actually managed to convince her? That's quite an achievement. Hiruzen said. Well, apart from that, the bounty of Gaara will be delivered to your address today. You may be dismissed, he said. Thank you. Naruto said and sunshuned away. So, Tsunade, you actually came back, huh? I was not expecting to see you, really. Hiruzen said and took a deep puff of smoke in. He looked old. Well, older than ever. Well then, you better be grateful and stop wasting my time. Why did you call me here? Tsunade asked. Grateful I am, of course. Hiruzen said, then, his eyes became serious. I want you to become the next Hokage. He declared. Huh? I am pretty sure you can squeeze in a few years more. Then, hand it over to Kakashi, your guy. Tsunade said, dismissing the idea. For a matter of fact, I cannot squeeze in a few years more, as you say. My fight with Orochimaru pushed me to my limits. I am not the god of shinobi I used to be. My powers have been depleting, Tsunade. My reign is over now. Hiruzen said. Well, whatever. Make Jiraiya the Hokage then. She said. He has an information network to take care of. Hiruzen countered. Kakashi. Too lazy. I. Strong, but naive. Fine, give me some time to think. Tsunade sighed out. Of course, take your time. Well, apart from that, I do have a request to make. Hiruzen said. What's that? Tsunade asked. A very promising genin, Rock Lee, was injured during the preliminaries of the Chunin exams. None of our medics are skilled enough to heal him. Please do take a look at him and try to heal his injuries. Hiruzen said. Yeah, sure, we'll do that. She said and flickered away. What do you think, Jiraiya? Will she agree? Hiruzen asked. She will come around. Jiraiya said, sighing. So, why did you not tell us of your promotion and the mission before? Ino huffed. Didn't see you around, then had to leave for the mission after waking up. Naruto replied. Naruto was stocking up his kunai stock in the weapon shop when he came around Ino, and well, here they were, walking towards his house and rambling. You sure you want to come? That's not a very nice place. Naruto questioned. Whatever. I have never seen your home before anyways. Ino replied. Well, suit yourself then. Naruto said. True to what Naruto had said, the area was not nice. Well, it was really bad. With beggars roaming around, thugs twirling used kunais and no sense of order, it looked like a civilization a century too old. Regardless, since they had their headbands on them, no one had confronted them and they had reached Naruto's place without any problems. His house was on the second floor. The only house around that was well painted. He had probably painted it himself, since there were inconsistencies that a professional would have not left, Ino noticed. His house was not very big. Well, her living room was probably bigger than his house, but she was not judging. She knew Naruto was not as privileged as she was. But, it was clean and decent. The balcony was decent in size. It had an artificial grass mattress with a lot of bowls, full of bird food, on it. And of course, there were at least 24 birds lazing around there. This is nice. Ino said. You don't need to sugarcoat anything. Naruto replied. No, really. This is nice. Ino insisted. Well, if you say so. Naruto said. So, what are your plans for tomorrow? Ino questioned. B ranks in the morning, training till evening and maybe a C rank, if I feel like it, the regular stuff. Naruto replied. No, I mean for celebration. Ino said, pouting. Celebration? For what? Naruto questioned. We got promoted, for that, of course. Ino said. No plans, none that I can think of. Naruto said. Well, what about you? He questioned. My family with Shikamaru's and Choji's are going to the Nara's forest for a day or two, it's a really great place with a farmhouse and all. Ino said. Did Choji get promoted too? Naruto questioned. No, but he is a really close family friend. And our families usually takes vacations together. Ino answered. Ah, I see. Well, enjoy your vacation then. Naruto said. Just when they were about to fall into silence, a chirping noise prevented it. A bird came flying in through his window. Well, that was quite a common occurring. But, what was not common was the envelope in its mouth. The bird sat on his shoulders and offered him the envelope. Ah, the bounty. Naruto said, remembering what the Hokage had told him. What bounty? Ino questioned. Gaara's. He said, putting the envelope in the drawer. Well, it seems like you have money to spare, why don't you move out of here? Ino questioned. I just purchased this house against cash, there is no point in moving out this early. Naruto said. Ah, I see, that makes sense. Ino said. Well, I will leave now, I guess. Sure, see you around. He said, escorting her towards the door. The idea of celebration had stuck with him. He had never celebrated anything before. And yeah, he felt jealous of Ino when she talked about family vacations. Well, she probably didn't understand what she was saying. It was the day after Ino's and his conversation. Well, it was not exactly day. It was almost night now, and he had more than one excuse to justify his celebration. 1. His promotion. And 2nd, his birthday. Yeah, it was 10th of October, his 14th birthday. Till now, he had not gone out for a single birthday of his. But, he had an excuse today. And well, he was curious about alcohol now. Also, he had money to spare. So, here he was in front of a bar. It was legal for shinobi of any age to drink alcohol. Because, well, any shinobi could be asked to indulge a daimyo or a noble with a drink. It was going to be his first drink though. Entering the bar, he had taken the most isolated seat towards the corner. He had ordered a can of beer and a pastry. Yeah, the waiter had looked at him weird, but it was because of the combination he had ordered, so he would slide with it. Eating the pastry and not looking at the alcohol just yet, he was enjoying his isolation. Recently, he had very less alone time. He had spent a month surrounded by owls, then a week with Jiraiya for finding Tsunade, then 3 days with Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizune and Taunton, traveling back to Konoha. So, yeah, he was enjoying his birthday very much. Tsunade-sama, not a bar again. We have been to 30 different bars in 2 days. A familiar voice sighed out. He sighed too. Why? Because there stood Tsunade and Shizune. And they had seen him. And they were heading towards him. He wanted to sigh again, but that would be rude. So brat, I did not know you drank. Tsunade said, taking a seat on his table. I don't, this is my first time here. He said. Well, what's the occasion? She questioned. My birthday. He replied. I see, and why are you alone? She questioned again. My teammates have places to be at and it is saving me money. He said. How about you treat me then. No. Naruto cut Tsunade off. Hey, come on, you can do that at least. Tsunade said, indignant. No. He replied. Fine. She huffed, I will pay for mine. Happy birthday, Naruto. Shizune said, smiling. Thank you. He said, quite awkward. Bring me the biggest bottle of sake. Tsunade shouted, looking quite drunk. Wait, where had his beer can gone? Well, with Tsunade drinking, Shizune smiling awkwardly and Taunton sleeping in his arms, he had to agree, he was enjoying his birthday. Things had fallen into pace. Naruto had started taking individual missions apart from the regular team missions for some extra cash. And, Tsunade and him had hit it off pretty quickly. Turns out, Naruto did not get drunk easily. And, well, he had sort of gotten into drinking with Tsunade. Come on, you can do the mission later. It is my last free day, brat. Tsunade said. Did I mention that Tsunade was going to become the Hokage the next day? I hope I did. I have already been assigned the mission. And, well, I will only be back after you become the Hokage. Naruto replied. I can overrule the decision, can't I? Tsunade asked to no one. You can, but not before tomorrow. And, I will be gone by then. Naruto said. Come on, Tsunade-sama, you have already had enough. You have to wake up early tomorrow. Shizune said. Currently, Naruto, Tsunade and Shizune were in a bar. Naruto had to depart on a solo B-rank escort mission to the land of demons. Ideally, it would be a 3-day journey, but escorting a civilian would make it unnecessarily long. He had offered to carry her throughout. But, well, she had denied. Lem enjoy my last free day, Shizune. Tsunade slurred out. Well, I will take my leave. Can't keep the client waiting, you know. Naruto said. Be safe. Shizune said. Tsunade did murmur something, but it was not understandable. So, he let it go. Sure. He said and disappeared in a flicker. Flickering outside of the bar and walking towards the Hokage office, Naruto could feel the difference in behavior of people around him. Following his fight with Shukaku, people's distance towards him was reduced to the point that he was almost never glared at since then. He had never fought for anyone's attention, but his life had definitely taken a turn for the better. In fact, a few people had started to wish him passing greetings too. Reaching at the Hokage office, his client, a young girl around his age, was waiting for him. How gracious of you to arrive here. She said, mocking him. Reporting for the escort mission, Hokage-sama. Naruto said, not paying any attention to the jab. Very well. You know of the mission, yes? The Hokage asked. Land of Demons. B-rank escort mission. Naruto replied, telling what he knew of the mission. Indeed. This is Jiraiya Sora, the daughter of the Lord of Land of Demons. Hidan said, introducing the girl. Now taking a proper look at her, she had long black hair, blue eyes, and wore a black kimono with blue floral designs all over it to complement her looks. She was about a head shorter than he was. All in all, she was a typical Ara girl. Jiraiya. She said, offering her hand for a shake. Uzumaki Naruto. He replied, accepting the handshake. Very well. Since the courtesies are done, you can proceed with your mission. Hidan said. Yes. He said. Suppressing his urge to flicker out of there, he took the door with his client. I am still offering to carry you on my back. Naruto said. I am still denying your offer. Arai huffed. Why is that? Naruto questioned. It is not suitable for someone of my stature. She said, her nose pointing towards the sky. You understand that your father is paying me quadruple the original amount for your demand, right? He questioned. We have plenty money to spare. She said. Well, whatever you say. Naruto said, shrugging. A few extra days of traveling were a worthy trade-off for the money he was offered. Falling into silence, he summoned his scout owl for extra safety measures. The owl, after being summoned, tilted its head curiously. Seeing the surroundings, it understood what he was asked to do. So, it proceeded to settle itself on Naruto's shoulder and sleep. Walking for a while more, they had not met any danger. Since it was already evening, Naruto decided to set camps in the forest they were in. Well, not camps, only a camp since he was the only guarding shinobi, he had to say goodbye to his sleep for the time they were traveling. The night was uneventful, in between the forest, there were no bandits lying around and the fire he had set would scare any animals away. So, once Arai woke up, they decided to move forward. So, where are we going next? Arai asked. A sigh escaped Naruto's lips. Land of Rivers. He said. That place was seriously dangerous. The only reason why this mission was a B rank was because they had to travel through the Land of Rivers. I see. She said, falling into silence. Walking into the Land of Rivers was an easy task. Well, since there were no guards. The scenario inside the village was a disaster though. At least for Arai, who had never seen poverty in her life, it was the most horrendous thing she had seen. All the houses were made of brass, there were people walking around, as thin as a stick. Poor people, old and young, were carrying rock and walking towards a cave in line. Keeping them in line were shinobi. Bandits, more likely. Hitting people right and left, uncaring of their agony. Naruto was perfectly happy to ignore everything and be on their way, but when one of the bandits was about to hit a fallen old man, Arai had to become the epitome of all things good. Stop it, can't you see? He is hurt. Arai shouted. Mind your own business, girl. The bandit said. That had to be it, right? They were given a chance, so they should have left, right? No. Oh yeah, why don't you show me what my business is? She said. A sigh left Naruto's mouth. Arai, we are in the middle of enemy territory with me as the only one capable of fighting, and you are challenging them? Naruto questioned. Now realizing what she had done, she quickly hid behind Naruto. You know how civilians are, she won't speak again. We just have to walk off of here and we can avoid any conflicts. Naruto said. That's not how things work, lil boy. I was generous enough to give you a chance, was I not? The bandit said, walking towards them. Fine. Naruto sighed out as a chain passed through the heart of the aforementioned bandit. Apparently looking at his vest for the first time, the bandits realized that he was a shinobi. Oh Raiga-sama, we will hold him off till then. One of the bandits said. Yes. One of the other bandits said and ran away. Ah, that was a problem now. The one who ran away was probably going to call a big shot. Regardless, he had some immediate problems which needed some attention. Till now, half a dozen bandits had surrounded him. He could kill them easily enough. But there were people around him and he also had a client to protect. Arai was still hiding behind him after all. Take this. Bandit number 1 shouted as he ran towards Naruto with a sickle in hand. Turning around and enveloping Arai in his arms, he jumped back to dodge the attack. Willing his chains to do his bidding, he launched it towards the aforementioned bandit. Not being fast enough to dodge it, he was swiftly taken care of. Now hesitating after seeing a one-sided slaughter of their partner, the others were hesitant in charging. Regardless, Naruto had to get this over with as soon as possible. In search of a large-scale attack, Naruto leaped into the air and from the top view, released a barrage of kunai. Blind style. Gale palm. He said, to accelerate the kunai. True to their stature of an untrained civilian, they could do nothing but get slaughtered. We have to leave quickly. He told to Arai, who was holding him like her life depended on him. Well, it actually did. But, before Naruto could take a step further, a bolt of lightning fell in front of him. Flipping back while keeping the girl safe, Naruto summoned 4 chains to protect him from any unexpected attacks. I heard you were harassing the mercenaries I had hired. Do you, perhaps, want to have a funeral early in your life? A deep voice asked. He wore a grey hooded mantle with 3 red stripes, an S strapped to his back. Under his mantle, he wore a dark brown sleeveless vest falling to his knees where the inside was purple, light brown belt, a light grey pants and he had bandages covering most of his body, his neck down to his chest, including his arms and his shin bones. Who might you be? Naruto questioned. You come to my land and ask me this? I am Raiga Kurasuke, wielder of the Kiba blades. And I shall give you your funeral. He said. Water style. Hidden mist jutsu. Raiga said, as a layer of mist started to surround them. Then unleashing his Kiba blades, he summoned lightning on them. Lightning style. Thunderfall. he said and launched a thunder summon from the skies towards them. Dodging the attacks by sensing them, Naruto looked around for a place to keep Arai safe. Looking around, he found a large, solid rock, behind which she could be safe. Leaping towards it, he asked her to leave him and stay there for a while. Initially, she was unwilling to leave the safety of his arms, but from a bit of prompting from Naruto, she agreed to hide there. Now not having to worry about anyone else, Naruto was ready to fight at his fullest. Lightning funeral. Raiga shouted, now standing at the top of the nearby mountain. Wind style. Wind gust. Naruto said, removing the mist and getting his sight back. Seeing the lightning strike coming towards him, he dodged it and rushed towards his target. Lightning style. Lightning ball. Raiga said, releasing several balls of lightning towards Naruto. Dodging, leaping, sliding and jumping, Naruto avoided all the attacks. Now quite close to him, Naruto released a kunai towards him. To his shock, the kunai was cut in half through his sword. Realizing that his swords could channel chakra, a plan formed in his mind. Earth style. Earth bullets. He said and released mud-made bullets to counter the lightning balls coming towards him. One of the bullets hit Raiga straight in the chest and knocked him back. Standing up and now angry, Raiga shouted, I will be hosting your funeral and it won't be pretty. With that said, he rose his sword towards the sky and started to gather lightning around it. Seeing the opportunity and grabbing it, Naruto wrapped his chains around the raised sword. This was something he wanted to try. He began flooding the sword with nature chakra. And, slowly but eventually, the lightning gathered around it started to disperse and the sword turned into stone. What did you? Before Raiga could complete his sentence, a purple ball of chakra connected to his stomach and he fell down to the cliff with the Kiba sword in his hands and his nest still strapped to his back, never to be seen again. Before Naruto could exhale a sigh of relief, a black blur tackled him in a hug. Then Naruto, I am sorry. Arai said. Now, everything is fine. He said, awkwardly consoling her. The people of the land of rivers had thanked him and the rest of his journey remained normal. He had dropped Arai to the land of demons, had stayed there for dinner and was now wishing his goodbyes before leaving. What if Naruto has Hashirama Sage mode? Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.